Welcome to episode 24 of Top Guy Theater. We're watching Night of Champions 2011 because our guest was there, Michael McClanahan, former, not the word I wanted to use, fellow Top Guy. That's the one I wanted. Michael, how are you today?
I'm great, TJ. How are you? Thank you for having me.
If I was any better, I have to sit on my hands to keep from clapping.
What the hell was that?
Also joined this week, my usual gang, Frank Bruno, Carl Mandick, and Adam from Bama.
Hi, guys.
Now, I was talking to Michael before we went on the air. It was just him and I, low lights, romantic setting. I was confusing this show for Money in the Bank 2011. But I knew there was something on this show that I was excited about to rewatch and relive again. And then I went to the card and I remembered. This is the night Mark Henry shocks the world and beats Randy Orton, becomes world champion. And actually, this whole card is really good.
Also has my favorite incarnation of one Cody Rhodes.
The Broken. We're talking about that too.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to get to, a lot to talk about. Let's watch Night of Champions 11. Remember now, because of Efren, we start 5 seconds in. So we're already at 5 seconds. Michael, you're our guest today. Go ahead and give us our countdown.
3, 2, 1, play.
Oh,
Should I read the description?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Alrighty. I'll do a movie guy voice. In a match with huge ramifications, CM Punk faces Triple H in a no disqualification match. If Triple H loses, he must resign as WWE COO. Oh, and in addition, John Cena challenges Alberto Del Rio for the WWE Championship, and Mark Henry faces Randy Orton, which that match, we know how that's going to end. Randy over for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, so Mike and I were discussing this a little bit before we started today. Easily, probably the two matches that are going to get us talking, well, I'll say three, that are going to get us talking is DiBiase and Rhodes. Just because of what Cody's become and what DiBiase could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Which should have been, I should say. And then Henry and Orton, just because of the ramifications. And, of course, Punk and Triple H. Because even at the time, this was a hot-button issue. And then add to that, first of all, I knew going into the show, Triple H is not going to not be COO anymore. But this was the beginning of the anti-establishment, or turning the volume up on the anti-establishment Punk. And I loved this feud, even with Hunter going over.
Way to give it away.
Oh boy!
Stop it.
I love the feud. I didn't care for the stakes of if he loses, he's not COO.
Well, it's a little obvious.
Can I get a quick time code?
We are at 2, 12, 13, 14, 15. There was another one too, Del Rio and John Cena, which I'm sure will get us talking a lot.
That was the match my mom enjoyed the most. She had a John Cena crush.
Dude, I was in love with Alberto Del Rio in this time, and now I regret it because I didn't realize how much of a piece of shit he was. But
now now we're seeing a different entrance.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Carl, I love it. I love the belt backdrop.
Yes.
Love it.
The pageantry, it looks like they're look at those Bills unis.
Yeah,
hold on now.
Who was Buffalo number 62?
Yeah, that's got to be a custom made one,
right,
Michael?
I have no idea who that is, so that has to be custom.
What a stupid number to have a custom jersey for.
Honey,
No,
not a champions. Where's my 6'2"?
You mentioned Del Rio. You mentioned Del Rio. Can I tell you a funny story because it ties into this arena and another event I was at in Buffalo?
Yes.
He actually worked the dark match it was a year prior to this, in May of 2010, at a SmackDown taping. He took on, I think it was Ryan Mitchell, and back then he wasn't even wrestling as Alberto Del Rio. He was Dos Carrera Jr.
Oh my God.
Who the hell did you say he was wrestling?
Ryan Mitchell. He was a local enhancement talent. They used him out of Pittsburgh.
Dr. James Mitchell?
Dos Caras or Dos Santos Jr.?
I think Dos Caras Jr., but if it says Dos Santos on Wikipedia, I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right on. I think you're absolutely right on it.
See, my wife,
my
wife, she had a huge crush on Evan Bourne here in this time. And he's in the opening match. He's in the opening match.
You know, you talk about Evan Bourne. I think the best thing you could say about him, and I liked him, thought he had a lot of in-ring talent, but to go to with a JR phrase, I think the reason we didn't see more out of him here is he was unreliable, because he gets suspended a while after this, and then I think he comes back and gets suspended again. So I think he was one of those people that, to me, I enjoyed watching him, and he had a lot of potential, but just maybe wasn't the most reliable.
I can't hear what they're saying, and I already know it's terrible.
Well, they're just saying Buffalo sucks, but I love this tag team.
Also, I want to say Evan Bourne also had an injury in between or around those suspensions, one or the other.
Oh, yeah.
He did get hurt.
He did, because do you want to hear? So it's funny how much of this ties into Buffalo. I was also at the show earlier this year, would have been February of 2011, in Buffalo, when he returned and took on Sheamus in his return match.
I think before this is over, we're going to have a new Providence, Rhode Island. And it's going to be Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo got some good shows.
Again, the coldest I've ever been, Michael, in my entire life was in Buffalo, growing up in Chicago. Coldest, hands down, I've ever been.
So there's your current WWE champion a decade later, The Miz. People already shitting on it without even seeing where they're going with it. Love wrestling fans.
I'm kind of curious to see what they do. Even if it's a quick title reign, I think The Miz is a great character, and I really liked, he did one of Renee Young's podcasts recently, and it was very good. I don't know if any of you listened to it, but I thought it was very good.
I mean, all he's done is perform with the company for what? Was he on year 17?
Yeah.
Consistently, never been hurt, never gets in trouble, shows up. It's all he's ever been. Self-made guy. He wasn't supposed to make it, and he did. Even though a lot of the backstage guys didn't want him to, he still made it. Main event of WrestleMania with Cena, and I don't care what anybody says. His 09 run is vastly underrated. And
his 09 run was great. The way he was able to transition characters so well, that was really, really good.
And like I will still say that him and Lawler in the ladder match for the WWE title does not get its fair due. And a lot of that credit goes to Lawler. I understand that. But that match was so good. And it doesn't get talked about. And I don't know what pay-per-view that was. It might have been a TLC or something.
It was the night of King of the Ring. It was a Monday Night Raw from Buffalo. It would have been November 29th.
Buffalo!
Lawler and Miz in a ladder match?
Yeah, it was the main event of the King of the Ring. Because it was the start of Lawler's feud with Michael Cole. Cole came in and pushed him off the ladder. So it would have been King of the Ring from Philadelphia.
That's why I forgot it, because I want to forget Lawler and Cole ever happened.
Was that the coal mine?
I'd love to see them. I'd love to see them actually bring the coal mine back now and say that it's Cole's PP&E. I actually tweeted him that they should do that for this year's WrestleMania to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of his WrestleMania match as a little throwback.
I mean,
I kind of like that.
That is good.
Michael, where were you sitting for the show?
So I was in floor 4, row 5, and we had seats 12, 13, and 14. I just looked at the ticket stubs earlier this morning.
Floor? You are on the floor?
Yeah, floor 4, row 5. We've actually got the commemorative chairs. I'll post a photo of them on Twitter later.
Nice.
So was it camera side?
We always joke that we never really got put on camera, but we were the floor, not directly behind we would have been behind the announce table.
Oh, okay. So you're the long floor. I always call that the long floor.
Yep, we were the long floor. I really liked our seats, and I'll tell you another cool thing to me about this event was, and you guys remember the one thing I used to not like is when you went to the event, you couldn't hear the commentary.
Mm-hmm.
They actually started selling. It was at SummerSlam, but they were selling them here too. You could get little devices that you put in your ear. And
Oh,
you
I
could
remember those.
hear the commentary, and it was. I actually did it the whole show, and it was kind of neat.
Same thing they do at NASCAR races, but it's for the radios.
Now I guess if crowds came back, you could just bring your phone and have the network on.
WWF Radio. Hey, everybody, it's me, Doc Hendricks, throwing down over to good old JR. They got to bring back WWF Radio.
They should. And Evan Bourne is just one of those guys. I remember his run with Cena.
I would say it's AEW.
Well, I mean, there's that too, but his run with Cena, where he was feuding with the U.S. title, I can't remember who it was with, but he was so over. The crowd was just ready to accept him. Then he fucked it up for himself. So
I think he's most known for. Do you remember the RKO Randy Orton hit on him? And sometimes it's in all those packages when he went for the shooting star and Orton hit him out.
Oh God, yes.
And that's why I don't think I could truly appreciate wrestling anymore, because I saw that and I just started picking it apart.
So would you throw that, the Shelton Benjamin and HBK one, top three?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Say that again, Carl.
HBK, Shelton Benjamin, and Evan Bourne.
Oh, the super kick. Oh my God.
No, the RKO. But yes.
But the Shawn Michael. Wait. I'm talking. You said Shawn Michael, Shelton Benjamin. That was a super kick, wasn't it?
Super kick, yeah.
No. I was thinking of, didn't Shelton Benjamin also take like almost a lion tamer ish moonsault? He took a nasty RKO.
He could have.
Maybe I'm getting those two confused. Yeah.
Shawn Michaels hit him with a vicious.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking of the super kick. That's why I'm thinking of the super kick. That was in the
See, I would throw Rollins up there if you want to go best RKOs. Best RKOs.
Is that the one where he threw him up in the air and dropped him? That was WrestleMania, wasn't it?
Going for the curb stomp.
31.
And what that did was too, is if you really think about it, what that did was it was so spectacular, and it was probably, amongst us, arguably the greatest, RKO that we had seen, or most spectacular, acrobatic, whatever you want to call it, whatever. But it made you forget about Rollins. It puts it. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Randy did that. I can't believe it. No mention of and then out he comes to cash in.
Right. Exactly. It's a good call. It's a good call.
Do you know where all that spectacular RKO stuff really originated?
No.
If you go back to WCW, who uses the RKO as?
I was just gonna say,
DDP.
If we're gonna do best finishes applied, I've seen. I was actually gonna say DDP and the Giant, when the Giant was gonna choke slam him off the top rope, and DDP turned it into a diamond cutter and actually beat him that way.
He used to do, and I remember this too in the I think it was NWO versus the World, or it was, I can't remember exactly. You could throw your opponent in the corner as DDP. You could pick him up and put him on the turnbuckle, and then diamond cut him off of it. And that was the DDP started finding fun ways to do the diamond.
I think that was a revenge, but his whole.
Oh, you're right, revenge.
I think it was his whole gimmick in like 97, 96, 97 was when he's starting to turn into the DDP we love and drop all the cigar and the goddamn vest and all this shit.
Yeah.
But he had he still had like the spandex pants that just said DDP on the side.
Yep.
And I remember in World Tour, his different costumes or his alternative outfits was just them pants with a different colored waistband. But he was like, the whole point of his gimmick was he was coming up in matches to show everyone how many different ways you could administer the diamond cutter.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So he was doing it out of fireman's carries. He was doing it off the top rope. He was doing it as like Irish whip reversals. He was doing all kinds of crazy shit with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I feel like every time Orton does now. I will say, Orton's done a lot more spectacular
Yeah.
versions of his, but I feel like that's where kind of that originated was doing the diamond cutter in just fancy little ways. So
Because I can remember the Rock doing the float over DDT. DDP was doing the float over diamond cutter.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
Now, not to Yankee gimmick here, Trouble in Paradise right there.
We got a time code.
I've got on mine, I've got 1:30. I'm at 14 minutes, 14:01, 2, 3.
I'm like 3 seconds ahead of you. That's okay.
I will say this much. Looking at Kofi's ring attire, your favorite game of over under a year and a half until Kofi is put with the New Day and then they go off air. So it's got to be that moment where they're all in the ring. Serious. If everybody remembers this, over under 18 months. I don't have the answer, to tell you the truth.
See, I was gonna say under, but I know they started around the same time as the Shield did.
It's under.
I'm saying over.
It's over because New Day didn't start until like 2014, and this would have been 2011, and it was fall of 14, I think October. So it was more maybe around a 2-year mark.
And they were heels.
That'd be over. Okay.
They were heels to start.
Well, at first we didn't know what they were. I mean, they came out like
I don't think they knew what they were.
It was like Men on a Mission and Nation of Domination.
It was positioned as heel.
Yeah.
And then so everyone started saying New Day sucks. So
well,
then
they came out as Preacher, right?
Preacher,
like
yeah, that's what I remember. The Preachers.
They needed brother love.
Oh, that would have been tremendous.
Land on his feet too.
But I'll tell you, when you really look at what they did with that New Day gimmick, they could have been just terrible, and they parlayed it into a multi-year. I mean, that's what they'll all be known for the majority of their cair. So
I don't know if we've ever seen anything like it before.
Longest reigning tag team champions. They outdid Demolition, which is going to segue me into my latest addition to my collection.
Oh, that's the hotness right there. Look at that guy.
That's awesome.
This is a custom made. I had this custom made for me. What I didn't realize, guys, was I thought that I was saddled with whatever WWE had, and then I realized there's people out there that make these belts so that they are World Wrestling Federation, and this is a replica of Demolition's belts that they had when they were at the time the longest reigning tag team champions. So also one of my belts I've always wanted is the European Championship.
European title.
And this is a replica of the version Shawn Michaels had. And obviously special red backing to it.
I love the red back.
I like that.
I just need to put I need to put over I don't know how much press they want, but this was created by X-Man Belts and they are amazing. I mean, this is legit. It's heavy. It's 4mm. I mean, I don't know if you can hear it.
Did somebody else have that title?
British Bulldog, didn't
he?
The Nation version of the Owen song.
That's great.
I mean,
I look like a damn road sign.
That was one of my favorite segments ever.
Jason Sensation.
Hey, Frank, talking about X-Men belts for a second, I've never purchased anything other than the WWE shop. So could you maybe talk a little bit about your experience with them? I mean, were they community?
Yeah.
How was your experience with them?
I met them in a Facebook community, and I posted, guys, I want to anyone have a version of this, and
that was brutal, guys.
Yeah, that looked real.
That looked brutal.
That was stiff.
So I apologize.
Sorry, Frank.
No, it's all good. So I came back and somebody came back and they said, "Hey, I can make these belts for you." And I started talking to them Facebook Messenger, and Next thing you know, I put a down deposit for this belt, and they charge a half up front. And what I loved about them was uh they literally, and Michael, I'll tell you about this off air. I don't want to. I don't know how much publicity they want or they don't want, but um they actually shared the process with me from start to finish. Like when they etched the metal, they said, Frank, this is what it looks like. I'm like, boom, perfect. Then they cut the metal. Frank, this is what it looks like. Perfect. They bent the metal. Then they paint it, and they just show you the process from start to finish. They even give you a picture of it when it's finished, and then you pay them the other half, and then it's shipped to you for free.
That's awesome.
And when I didn't know what to expect, guys. I really didn't. And it got me to the point now where, no offense to the other people I bought belts from, but um I'm going to replace the other 3 titles I have with the versions of their belts because I love them. And
So
so that I've already, so just a peek behind, not a peek behind the curtain, but I last night placed an order for a custom made winged eagle on white leather, which is a version of the Ultimate Warrior's winged eagle that I love. And so that process has been started. I should, it takes about I got these 2 belts at the same time, so it took about 17 to 20 something days because they literally make it from scratch. So
It's not bad.
uh
That's not a bad turnaround.
Frank,
oh,
the one common thread that you and, being serious, Michael have here is customization, being able to tinker and toy and build to your exact liking, whether it be a belt, a venue, a character,
yep.
whatever it may be. Michael, your start in pro wrestling didn't come from the network or anything that you found on TV. You found it in a Walmart, bin.
Yeah,
The old blue cage, I think, was actually used to find your love of wrestling.
that's very true.
So double question: A, what do you think of this layout? From being a venue guy that wanted to build venues of having the drape and the robery of the titles, uh, and second, being able to be there in person for this.
So I really like both of those questions. The first one, going to the venue layout, I love the setup for this. This is actually one of my favorites. I think the pillars are something that they had done for a few years, and I think it's one of the things that I would say nowadays I really miss is when they would have the pay-per-view specific sets. Like I actually used to really look forward to seeing what those were and seeing how they would change it up each year. But it was really neat to see, especially being there in person and really just kind of getting to experience a pay-per-view in person. There's really nothing like it because it's constant. The thing that I really enjoyed about it, it's constant action. Like right now, we're going to see a match for the Intercontinental Championship. Unlike TV tapings, you don't have a lot of downtime, and you have all the pyro and all of the special effects. But it was just a
Yep.
really unique experience. I've seen a number of events from house shows to TV tapings and a couple pay-per-views, and it was just a really memorable experience, especially this took place in the fall, which is my favorite time of the year. So it was a great way to spend a Sunday night.
Is that Rose behind you, the picture on your cabinet there?
Yes. Yeah, that is. That's the rose I talked about on my chat pack, and that goes back to, if you don't mind me sharing the story, it's how I got into wrestling was my grandmother actually bought me my first video game. It was just something that I picked out of a bin at Kmart, and I just got it because I wanted to have there was a certain venue I was looking for, so I was trying to go through all of the sports games to try to see if I could find it because I wanted to find a specific venue that my family would attend concerts and events at. And ultimately, I just started playing the game, and I really enjoyed kind of seeing the characters, the pyro, the special effects. But my grandmother was the person because she used to watch wrestling with her father that got me into wrestling. So when I started to get more involved and interested, she was the one, along with my mom, who really kind of supported and reinforced that habit. My mom, from a financial perspective, of she would buy me pretty much whatever I wanted to watch in terms of wrestling. I was very fortunate. in that way. But my grandmother was actually the person that would sit and watch the programming with me, and she was the person that I could really kind of discuss wrestling with, which I enjoyed. And her and I actually watched every pay-per-view together from probably May of 2019 to January of 2014, and she was the person that I could share a lot of these experiences with. Her and my mom were the people that went to all of the live events. But the reason I have the rose behind me is unfortunately she passed away earlier this year. So I just kind of, that was something that the funeral home actually gave us. And I like to have it in the background for when I do my ad-free shows. Because it's kind of like she's doing them with me. Because if she could see what I was doing now, even doing this with you guys, she would love it. Because she used to really enjoy this stuff.
That's awesome, man.
That's a beautiful. I mean, I'm gonna swear. It's a fucking beautiful story.
It is.
Actually. It
awesome,
really
man.
is.
And same thing with my dad. I got one of the flowers from the whole deal. You know, this may be 11 years, but still, you know, the funeral home was real good with us too. And just the stuff that they gave us to keep is just nothing replaces that.
Adam, Adam, I was not aware of your loss. My condolences. I was not aware.
It's been since 2010.
She would have loved it, and I mentioned this on my chat back. She lived with us for 23 years, so her and I became very close. And I'll give ad-free shows a little plug here. One of the things I love about ad-free shows and what made me upgrade to being a top guy was I was my push for about 24 hours when I joined my first Zoom call, and I wasn't sold to upgrade to top guy because of the experiences of, you can talk to Mike Chioda, you can do all these additional events. I loved the camaraderie that we all had in the chat, and you guys made me feel so welcome on my first day that I'm like, I want to have more of this. And to be honest with you, that night was probably the best I'd felt, because she passed away in September of 2020, so it's fairly recent. And that night in November is probably the best that I'd felt since then, in terms of just, it was nice to have a group of people to sit and talk about wrestling again. So it means a lot to me.
I want to share this, and I was thinking about this today, because as I look around my room today, I've got legitimately 77 Funko Pops. I've counted them. I've
Only yourself to blame for that.
I know.
Somebody has a problem.
I've got championship belts hanging. I bought a life-size Tennessee Titans helmet from Evan, and what AFS and you guys, specifically the guys in here, got Carl, TJ, what, and I'm leaving other people out because I have a really great connection with Adam. I have a really great connection with Brandy and Mark and Mike Kolb. I love Phil, Henry, Antonio. What AFS has done for me is it legitimately has helped me find myself again, because one of the things that when I came out of my marriage, and again I'm going to go down this road and I'm sorry, when I came out of my marriage, I was beat down. My ex-wife just didn't really like who I was, and in order to save the marriage, I tried to pivot from who I was, and did a lot of things outside of myself, and it took me years to finally say, Frank Bruno, you're a rabid Titans fan. You love Providence, Rhode Island.
God, we know that.
Yeah, you love wrestling, and you have found the people that you can talk wrestling with and be yourself. Like, I feel like you've all just said Frank is who he is, and we love him that way. So I've reconnected with wrestling. I've reconnected with hell, I've got Inspector Gadget Funko Pops now too. I'm just reconnecting with who I am. And so I thank you all for that. And that really why, Michael, that story touched me, because that's what this has done for us. I now know that I could call Carl tomorrow and be like, hey dude, I'm gonna fly to Arizona. Can I hang out with you for a while? And he'd be like, yeah. Same thing with Adam. I could be like, Adam, I'm gonna come down to and I'm gonna need some Southern hospitality, and he'd be like, okay, come on.
I got plenty of that, buddy.
I could call TJ and be like, hey, I want to come hang out and chill in your basement? And he'd be like, no, but okay.
Somebody's already down there.
No, I just know that I've just made some really cool connections and friends for life. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll stop talking.
And
No,
TJ, I want to say this is a testament, not to cut you off, Michael, but
Oh no, you're good.
monetization, ads, doesn't matter. Are we closer on Zoom chats, Discord, maybe on the Patreon, responding to one another because of TGT and Chat Pack? Factual. That's a factual statement that we've all become closer because we didn't have those things. And the group chats that have ensued, whether they're text, DMs, whatever they may be, I have to say one thing, that at the end of the day, I can rest easy knowing that as silly and as ancillary and as outside and as a breakaway from AFS as they may be, yet we still heavily endorse everything that they do, as we would say by the pod or any other venture that came on. I think that kind of goes, not speaking for TJ, but saying that, we want to support those that are in the community doing great things, i.e. Pipe Man. Guy produces art and he's trained to be a wrestler with Dustin
Amazing.
Rhodes. Pretty cool story. Those stories are the ones that are so cool to tell over a Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, match. And so I really credit TJ a lot with the ability to bring people together. And I'm just glad that there are a couple outlets other than the ones that AFS has provided us, because I love Discord. I love the Patreon feed and responding back. If somebody beat me to, oh, name that theme. Oh, you got me, bro. It's fun. But having this and meaningful and a little bit more in depth, TJ, I give you just a ton of credit for that.
I'll throw Rajiv out there also.
Oh God, Rajiv, I love
100%. Yeah, Rajiv.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, I never really had family members that were into wrestling growing up, outside of my cousin David.
Yeah.
And he was a month older than me. He was born February 21st, 85. I was born March 30th. And we've had each other our entire lives. We're more brothers than we are cousins. We were inseparable when we were younger. I was the best man at his wedding. He was the best man in mine. And with the crazy shit that's happened over the last 4 years, not just, in our lives, but in the world, people, having their, I'm trying to tread some thin ice here. People having their opinions that they're entirely entitled to, has torn social discord to shreds.
Yeah.
And because of that, I haven't talked to him with my voice in probably, since October. So it's going on 5 months. And it's unfortunate, but you guys have helped fill that void. But I don't know. I've gotten a different sort of satisfaction from it. Again, I didn't have, outside of my grandfather who died in 1991, I was 6. None of my family members have really died untimely. And so I haven't had anything super traumatic or emotionally scarring or anything like that. I mean, I've had moments, sure. My Uncle Marty, my mom's oldest brother, probably being the one example. He died in 2004 from diabetes. He was 53. But, and I've said this 1,000 times, I'm going to continue to say because it's true. What I've gotten the most out of this show, again, if this show makes money, fine. I don't give a shit. It's not right now, if anyone's asking. If 40 people watch this show, if 400 people watch this show, if one person watches this show, I'm going to keep doing it. I don't care. What I get out of it now is I get goosebumps giving people an avenue to tell their story and get something off their chest that they need to get off their chest, or just talk to someone, or whatever the case is, and they trust us enough to do that. I've never met Michael. I might not ever. I hope I do. But he's telling us his story. He doesn't have to, but he's sharing with us, because the way the world is, and not just because the way the world is now, it's the way it's always been. But I think with the increase of spotlight on mental health,
Mm-hmm.
this has become more and more important. People need that outlet to speak their mind and share their story. So if that's all this show ever does, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate people like Michael and Adam from Bama, and we've had Amy Vaughn, Sean Jones, Barat down the line, every one of them. I appreciate them coming on the show and trusting us enough to tell their stories, because it needs to be told. That's what I get out of the show.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I get just the camaraderie. I mean, meeting new people. I mean, I'd seen Sean Jones around,
Yeah.
and then getting to know him on here.
I've seen him more with Shivani than I have with other stuff, but yeah, I'd seen him around.
Yeah, definitely Shivani. I mean, God, I'm trying to think who else we've had on here that I've just honestly, Timmy C.
Timmy C.
Yeah. I had gotten to know Paulie B and Efren, but I'd never really had a real conversation with Timmy C. And to be honest with you, I was actually a little intimidated by him. But after I'm being honest,
it was the sport jacket. It was the sport jacket.
After last week and the conversations we had off air, he's fucking amazing.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Oh, JD, we got to get JD on here.
We do.
But JD is a great guy. I mean, just
Joey Carr.
Oh God, Joey. Joey deserves all the love in the world. He's been dealt. Yes, he's been dealt a rough hand, and I'll text him from time to time and just say how you're doing, and if I give him an outlet for a few minutes to just share with me, vent with me, absolutely. He is one of us. That's the way I look at it.
Well, and if you don't mind me saying, I give him a lot of credit too for posting the thing he did, where he did the thing on Ask Conrad, where he was very open about his story, because I know that can be very difficult for a lot of people to do. So I think the fact that he is so forthcoming, I just think that's wonderful, and I think the world of Joey.
Yeah.
Well, see, Joey and I have one major thing in common, is that we both had weight loss surgery. The thing that sucks is that my journey went positive, his didn't. So we definitely connected there, because we both understand what it's like to be large people, and I still am. But just the shit that's gone on for him after that is what's painful, and I pray for him. I wish him the world, because he deserves it. He's been through enough.
Yeah,
honestly.
Well, and I have mild cerebral palsy, so I have a lot of sympathy, and I have a lot of respect for anybody that's going through anything with any kind of disability or health issues. Because, like I said, I was just born with mild cerebral palsy, so that's just something that I have. Doesn't really impact what I do, other than maybe a little bit the way I walk. But I give anybody that's going through anything a lot of credit.
Forgive me if I'm wrong on this one. Did you not post college or into college or into high school have some work with cerebral palsy?
Yes, I did. I did an advocacy campaign in high school in my senior year for the organization here locally that I used to receive physical and occupational therapy services for, and I did an advocacy campaign with them and with the United Way as part of, they were doing a new building at the time, so I was the keynote speaker for their annual dinner and also serve as a United Way representative for the campaign that year. That would have been back in 2013.
Dude, that's amazing. That's
Damn.
I'm gonna swear. That's fucking amazing. Like, I mean, think about all the amazing things you're doing, Michael. I mean,
I'll tell you something though. This is the way I look at it. I'm very fortunate to be in the situation that I'm in, and I've always tried to use everything in my life as a way to positively impact other people or to help other people. So the stuff I was doing even back then, I don't talk about it a lot now because it's not a part of what I'm doing in public accounting, but that's why I like to do public speaking. That's why I like to do certain things. And it was a way for me to give back to an organization that gave so much to me at a young age, to me and to my family. They've been a very important organization for us. So it was something I was happy I was able to do for them.
How many accountants do we have in this group now?
well, I said this on MCPL that I think I think Michael is sharp as a tack. I think being a CPA is one of the hardest things that you can do, and I have no desire to actually do it because it's so incredibly difficult. Like I've
still got one exam. I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
I've got one more test.
About how many? There's 4 parts or 5 parts?
There's 4 parts. I've got 3 done. I'm working on that last one.
Right, but there you go. I mean, it's like I look at, like, I'm in operational. I look at myself as operational accounting. I'm with a restaurant group. I've got my bachelor's degree. I'm working on my master's in hospitality management. I'm not going that route. Actually, although I'm glad we're talking about this because I looked at something. Have you ever heard of a CMA, Michael?
Yes, I have a certified management accountant. One of my managers is that.
I was actually looking at that, but I don't know if that'll help me in. You think that'll help me in the hospitality world?
It might. I don't know that much about it. I can do some research and look and see. I just know it's something that a lot of people, once they get their CPA, they get that almost as an additional credential. But I know you can get it separately. I think any kind of credential, anything you can get to set yourself apart, definitely would help. But I really don't know that much about what a certified management accountant is. I'll look into it and get back to you though.
I was looking at it too. I would love your perspective of it from the CPA side because I really think, I mean, the things you need to know and understand as a CPA are vastly different than what I do from a forecasting and budgeting perspective for individual outlets. Like I really feel like you're this is gonna sound nuts, but I feel like you're changing the world in what you do. I'm just helping a company grow. That's really the way I'm looking at it. We've totally taken this show over. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
But to add in just my perspective on that, if you don't mind, TJ, from the way I look at it, with what we do with public accounting, I always tell people this is not my or what we do is not accounting. I mean, it's a version of accounting, but it's not what Frank does. Frank does more the day-to-day work, which is essential. A lot of what we do with the auditing side is we go in and we'll spot check and provide reports based on the work that's prepared by individuals like Frank. So Frank and the people like him are really the most essential people in accounting from a day-to-day perspective. We just go in and provide that level of assurance and look at regulations. So I've always had great respect for all the different areas in business. And this is one of the reasons I got a business degree is I don't look at things as in, oh, you're in marketing, you're in accounting. I try to look at how do we bring everything together so that the business functions well as a whole. Yeah. That's why I pursued accounting. Was it allows me to understand a business. Like I say this all the time, I'm an accountant, but I hate math. I was horrible at I was horrible at algebra, geometry, trig. It's not my thing. I got an accounting degree so that I was never dependent on anybody else to explain my financial position. But at the end of the day, I'd love to be in more of a management role someday.
Yeah. I just want to say, John Morrison's coming out right now, and to this day, I still hate his entrance. I'm just saying that.
How funny is it? 10 years ago, he was going for the U.S. title, and he just did this past Monday Night Raw. 10 years later.
That is nuts.
We all watch. Well, a lot of us watch Elimination Chamber together, and I said it then, and I think John Morrison is one of the most overrated wrestlers ever.
Oh,
I'm gonna
overrated.
go.
Overrated.
go-
I don't understand the appeal.
Oh, see,
I'm gonna
I
go-
think he
I'm gonna
needs-
go
I think
under.
he needs at least one run with the title.
Yep.
If they would
Oh my-
utilize him better, I would like him better. But they always got him against these big guys, and I don't think he's a big guy wrestler.
The
There's-
funny
Look at
story-
There's Alex Riley.
I was just
That's
gonna
he was
say.
underrated. He was.
Yeah,
Alex Riley
Alex-
was underrated.
I'll
Well,
tell
he
you
was-
what,
he
I
was
was at a house show
blackballed.
in Rochester, and he was over like Rover when he came out. He was like the place
Oh, dude.
went nuts.
When he turned on the Miz,
Yes.
son,
Yes.
and then
And
he
then he just gets
gotta do-
blackballed.
well, I didn't know that story. Who told us that?
Arn Anderson, I think.
No, it was Kyoto.
No,
Oh,
but somebody told Kyoto's story to me while watching Elimination Chamber. I can't remember who it was. But
Right.
Um,
that was.
Was that
no,
you?
That was me. Yeah.
I remember the DUI in DC.
Right.
And then to me, that was the drop off for him, was right after that. I didn't know the other stuff.
you know something that has always bugged me about the wrestling industry is
What?
that no matter how hard you work your ass off, there's still one person that if he just doesn't like you, you don't get anywhere.
I love
it's-
that belt. I love that title right there. I'm sorry.
Stop it. Are you serious?
Yeah, I can't. When you
That
when
is
you
the
think
I
about
love the
worst
new
version.
one.
when you,
I think he's
don't-
just
I
saying
don't
it to
like-
piss
yeah.
me off.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
he
not a fan of that US belt.
Yeah,
'Cause
no,
I've
no,
called
I
it a
can't.
toy several times.
I can't with that. When you look at the lineage of the U.S. Championship, and then the one I really love is the WCW five plate one.
Yes,
That-
absolutely.
This is shit.
Yeah, I think Adam knows me just well enough that he said that to piss me off.
Let's pay back
Did
to
you-
the
did
The
you-
NWO.
one they introduced,
Oh, yeah.
the one they introduced earlier this year, I loved. The one that Bobby Lashley introduced, I think it's pretty good. in
I
terms
think
of-
it's-
especially an upgrade from that.
I think it's their best effort at a belt in some time.
Yeah, well,
it
I
actually
agree.
looks like a belt. The
Was that an
WWE
Eric
titles
Moulds
suck.
jersey? The Eric Moulds, was that an Eric
I-
Moulds jersey? I just saw?
Like the WWE, the Universal, and the WWE Championship belt sucks. I hate them.
I'd rather
I
have
had
a big
those.
gold belt come back. Honestly, I love the big gold belt.
That's what I thought they
Honestly-
were going to do years ago. When they did the brand extension in 16, I thought they'd bring back the World Heavyweight title. Or at least when they did the Universal title, I thought it would be a unique design, not just the
A different
WWE
color.
Championship painted red.
Yeah.
Honestly, bring back the winged eagle or the big eagle. That's the way I look at it. You can spice it up a little bit, but that's a championship belt. to me.
I wouldn't mind the Big Eagle with the design concept of the US title they're doing now.
That's a good idea.
Like make it a little like 3D almost.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure. Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
mind that at all. Because yeah, their world
Well, I
titles
don't-
now suck.
Well, doesn't the U.S. title have like a beak coming out of it or something?
I think it does.
I don't.
It's
I
it's
would-
like
all right, I'm gonna-
it's
don't
like
like
the
that.
New Orleans Pelicans mascot. It's got a
I don't
beak
like that.
coming
Yeah,
out of it.
and I think Riddle actually named the eagle on the belt. He named it Travis or something like that.
He did.
Yeah, he named it. He named the eagle on the United States belt.
Yeah. See, I don't need the belt to like have shit coming out of it too. Like I'm like
This might
like
give me
this is
some heat
this
with
is
some-
classy and it's flat. I'm good.
This might give me some heat with some people, but I'm not a Matt Riddle fan
Why would that get you heat
That-
with
that-
people?
That
No,
like, at all. I
that
just
that
don't-
that,
I-
would,
I
that would be
personally-
everybody here but me, which I'm a
But-
huge
no, 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 no,
Riddle.
No, no,
I
no.
love I love
Riddle, the wrestler, I'm
Yes.
in on.
Yeah,
Riddle,
there we
the
go.
the
person,
bro
can
gimmick
fuck,
I hate.
Matt Riddle, the person, can fuck all the way off.
Well, see, this is the argument that Brandy and I had, and I'm gonna share this with you guys. Those are allegations.
Mhm.
They're very strong allegations, and apparently she's got proof.
Okay.
I just my honest opinion with that stuff is guilty, innocent until proven guilty.
Sure.
And quite frankly, if it comes out that this stuff is true, my opinion of him will absolutely change.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was never a Joey Ryan fan. I thought I honestly thought that gimmick was like watching All In, was it? or All Out, or whatever the hell it was called.
He's all
All
out.
in. It was
Uh,
all in.
With the dick things coming down, and
Ugh.
he's got
Yeah.
he's a hairy guy, and he's putting a lollipop in his crotch. That did
Alright.
nothing for me.
And
Now,
Lucha
just-
Underground, he was
no,
just
wait,
as bad.
now, Frank, I'm gonna go a tiny bit personal here.
Okay, that's fine.
Your daughter loves Velveteen, correct? His entrance,
Yes, but she has no idea. I have not told her what is going on
right.
with him.
So let's say that he's legally exonerated on all charges. He has no. How about Vicky and
Dolph.
Dolph were just amazing.
Morrison
Say,
about busted his tail.
Vicky's the reason I became a wrestling fan when I started watching. Her storyline with Edge was like drew me in from the start.
When I got yelled, "Excuse me," at a indie show for a promo, I'm like, "Good, kill me now, done."
Go back to what you're saying, Carl. You totally veered.
No, but let's say Dream is exonerated of all charges. Now, will you look at him differently?
Nope. If he's
Well,
exonerated,
Riddle. Well, yeah. If
honestly-
he, I mean, like, if Riddle is not guilty and Dream is not guilty,
Well, the Riddle thing's it's not as potentially severe as Velveteen's is.
Yeah, Velveteen's is bad.
It's immediately it has immediate ramifications because the accusations against Matt Riddle are by his mistress.
yes.
oh, that's
So we
nothing.
already
Wait,
know
is
he
she-
has a
wait.
mistress.
Wait, is she of age?
I don't know.
Yeah, but his wife knows some of it already, though, right? Didn't his wife already know?
I don't
one
know.
Time?
But see, again, we already know he has a mistress. That's strike one.
Okay, all right,
I
all
wanna-
right, guys. Infidelity in pro wrestling, it goes.
It's
hand
not
in
weird.
hand. Yeah,
But-
if this girl is of age, I am not.
Cena did it.
Well,
Orton did it.
There's one thing that remember when the whole Edge and Lita thing was going on. She actually
Yes.
came out on like what Bite This or whatever, and was like,
Oh yeah.
let me entertain you from 9 to 11, and what I do in my private life
Yes.
is none of your business. That's just
I
part
agree
of that.
with that.
Okay, look, like the things that Joey Ryan did, egregious. Even the thing Marty Skrull, like, but he came out and he apologized, and he's advocating for women now, and stuff like that. What he did sounds like an honest mistake. It's when you come out and you break the law or you mistreat women because you think you've got all the power. Like the Me Too movement, guys, I totally get it. I personally would never ever tell someone you got to get on your knees if you want this job. That stuff drives me insane. That is egregious. And those people are fucking pigs to me. But like, there's people that hate Enzo Amore because of what happened between him. But that was all. Oh, that was all.
Wait, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
How many times do you have for how many times I was charged guilty or even found to be in said room?
What was the Enzo thing?
0 times.
0 times.
0 times.
He was accused of I think raping a woman in Arizona.
Oh, that's right.
In
Yeah, I remember that.
Scottsdale, which guess what? I have the police records too because you go there and you pay
They're
10
public.
Yep,
Yeah.
10 cents a copy. Guess what?
You spent one
Wasn't
dime.
even in the room. They just needed a reason to fire him.
Right. And
I
that,
can post it however you guys want it, but wasn't in the room to losing out on 6 figures, right? A year
Yeah.
minimum.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I get it. Not a lot of people like the gimmick. I loved it.
I did
loved
too.
it. And you know what? He showed one thing. He showed, okay, we're putting you on 205 Live, where you've tweeted out for years, I don't want to be on 205 Live. So he did the Cosby sweater, the good, that, and I don't mean that in a derogatory term. He
Yeah.
did the expensive.
It's still known
whatever
as a Cosby sweater.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact brand, Rappers have done it. It doesn't. And when he went around the ring and dissed everybody and was like, "Oh, I shouldn't even be here," that was good. Listen, do I know the guy is probably not the best wrestler? Yeah, we get that.
Yeah.
But for him to be fired on that is like, so you're telling me they're keeping Velveteen Dream around and his allegations are way bad.
Yes, they are.
That
that hits the egregious.
Right. Just following the Matt Riddle thing. Okay. He had a mistress. Yes. So did Kevin Sullivan and Chris Benoit. And not saying it's going to end up like that, but I'm just saying, yeah, a lot of people do. I mean, John Cena was sleeping with Mickey James, right?
Ted DiBiase had one, and we love him. We love the $1 Million Man.
So with Riddle, the person, Walter Payton's a Man of the Year. Go look it up. Infidelity. Michael Jordan, infidelity. So the infidelity thing I know has been probably diminished in our current society. Is it right? No. Would I ever do it? Absolutely not. The flip side of that is, yes, you are dealing with, now looking at Velveteen Dream stuff, you are dealing with not only using your power and your knowledge to not pay it forward, you're doing the reverse. You're actually hurting what good people want to try to do to help other good people. And I think that gets lost in this conversation of innocence, in that the sense that, oh yeah, Joey Ryan, I'll train you, but first,
right,
right. And you're right. Marty Scurll did come out and said, listen, I wasn't checking IDs. Apparently that bar wasn't either. And I'm saying
exactly.
that I'm not paraphrasing, but what Marty Scurll did was came out and said, yep, I fooled around with this girl and I don't know her age, but if she's in the bar.
He assumed she was of age.
A lot of us would.
Safe assumption, yeah.
Yeah, right. Because isn't the legal age over there is what, 18, right?
Well, it's 18. Yes. In Ireland, it's 18. In UK, it might be 8. Yeah, across the UK, it's 18.
But I just got heated with people because they just the minute it comes out, they just write them off. You're dead to me. You're dead to me. You don't know the whole story. I mean, I could tweet something today that said that my boss stuck their finger up my ass and I don't like it, and it's completely not true.
Because we know you did like it.
No, it was invigorating. Yeah,
that was the worst dentist appointment I've ever been to.
I just connected via LinkedIn with Mina Group.
Yeah.
To get up my finger.
Well, obviously, what I just said isn't true. I'm just saying, but anybody can just go out and say, that he raped me.
Here's something to me that I think is interesting, and it's kind of a side conversation, but it's kind of in the same vein. Do you think that professional wrestlers are looked at differently than, say, other athletes or other entertainers in terms of what the expectation is for them? And I had this conversation a little bit with Medusa, where when, say, an actor gets in trouble, and I'll use the same analogy, like if Daniel Radcliffe got arrested for, Daniel Radcliffe got arrested for something, all the papers would say Daniel Radcliffe was arrested for so-and-so, whereas with a wrestler, you might see the paper might use their gimmick name, where it's almost like wrestlers are expected when they're in public to be kind of in character all the time, whereas with actors, it's almost like there's more of that understood separation of, okay, this is Daniel Radcliffe playing a character on television. I mean, I know that doesn't tie directly into what you were discussing, but do you think there might be something to that?
Yes.
Wrestlers are also. Can I go last?
Yes.
I'm gonna go last.
Wrestlers are also more visible.
I agree.
You see them every week, and you only see actors when they come out in movies. Also,
down upon.
Right. Remember when people found out Sergeant Slaughter was not really a Marine?
Yes.
Holy shit. And for one, I didn't know that. I was
I didn't either.
completely blindsided by that. And then his explanation was, no, Bob Remus is not a Marine. Sergeant Slaughter is.
Exactly.
Oh. But yeah, 100%. It's been that way forever. Hell, the 80s, the 70s and the 80s, that's what they lived off of.
TJ, can I to your point on that? To your point on that. Remember during the Hogan Gawker trial,
Yes.
and he was talking about Hulk Hogan as a 10-inch dick.
Mm-hmm.
And during the trial, they show footage of him going, Hulk Hogan has a 10-inch dick, but Terry Bollea doesn't. And Terry Bollea was in that film that you guys posted. No,
I mean, that's an abuse of that, but yes, it's the same.
No, of course it is, but I'm just yeah, it is. It is.
So Sylvester Stallone's not a real boxer, or is that what you're telling me right now?
Yes. That's. I hate to break it to you, but yes.
What the hell's going on here?
What is happening in the world?
What's going on?
Are we getting ready to watch Mark? By the way, we just completely talked over a phenomenal finish to that Four Corners match with Ziggler running in after Swagger got wrench powered by Morrison and get the win. Also, I said this during the Elimination Chamber walkthrough or watch along, and I'll say it again: the Starship Pain is the worst goddamn finishing move I've ever seen.
Oh, see, I like it.
Just a twist.
Terrible.
It's just a twist.
He misses it 90% of the time.
Yeah, he does.
But I'll be honest with you, I'm partial to John Morrison because he was the first wrestler I ever saw in person live. It was him versus Mike Knox in June of 2009 at the Hershey Giant Center.
Mike Knox is criminally underrated. Carl, we switched the topic. You wanted to go last. What's on your mind?
Can you re-ask the question one more time so I have it correctly?
Absolutely. So essentially, it's why are professional wrestlers expected, like the expectation if you meet them on the street is you're meeting the character that they portray on TV, whereas you don't see that with actors. It's almost like there's more of a separation with actors than there are with professional wrestlers, where it's like understood that Daniel Radcliffe plays Harry Potter in a movie, whereas if you meet Shawn Michaels on the street, you expect him to be the Shawn Michaels you see on TV. And do you think wrestlers are held to a different standard?
Not only are they held to a different standard, it's those that adapt to said different standard that make the not only the fastest, but they have more longevity than any other superstar. When you have the right training to understand that the public eye will be watching. The public eye has been watching since the steroid trial, since Owen, since Benoit. And on top of all of that, you have to, where the wrestlers, performers, superstars, whatever you want to call them, have now become not only public figures that guys and girls alike will fanboy, fangirl out for. Who do they want to meet? Do they want to meet Dolph Ziggler, the heel? Do they want to meet the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, in an airport? They want to let's face it, they want to meet somebody that it's not so much about the autograph. It's about the story of, yeah, well, I got to meet the real dude and actually, talk with him for a little bit, because those are stories you can tell your friends. Those are things you can hold on to that are true. So from the standpoint of the ridicule and what they may take online, I think a lot of them have been preconditioned to let it just run off their back and just say, hey, no big deal. In reality, what we're seeing here is a great example. This overhead shot. Some have smartphones, some have signs. This is the sign and smartphone cutoff point. Now we see some signs and we see a lot of glowing smartphones. People want to capture the moment with that wrestler, whether it's up close or I was at the event to take ownership of it. And that gets back into the millennial, zennial, Amazon Prime, DoorDash. Oh, I can get approved for this credit card. Oh, I can get that. Oh, good. Yeah, I'll pay that off. This is the quintessential crossroads of millennial versus Gen Y, Gen X wrestling, and it's a crossover because you're seeing the rabid fans in a fantastic wrestling city split between holding a smartphone or a sign. Now I know it's kind of an odd about way to get around to that, but that's how I would answer it.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with the generational differences, and I think as we start to watch this excellent match, one of the things that I loved about the Mark Henry storyline in 2011 was just that the story behind it, and really the slow build of the Hall of Pain and how it started. Because TJ brought up an excellent point when we were talking earlier off before we started recording, and he said, you look back a year ago, Mark Henry was in the tag team turmoil match.
Yeah, year before this pay-per-view, 1 year prior, Mark Henry is in the tag team turmoil match.
I think this might be unanimous, but bigger upset: Henry here or Jinder over Orton?
Jinder.
Yeah. I thought
Henry. So here's the thing. Here's what blows my mind about this whole Mark Henry run, because I mean, realistically, this should have happened 10 years before this. Is they have this legitimate world's strongest man and massive man can do all these crazy feats of strength, and he just looks like a scary dude. Like he would rip you to pieces if you ever got a hold, but you probably would. And somehow it took them 15 years to figure out, like, oh, hey, if we just let him scream at people and destroy them, he's a believable heel. How did it take this long?
The worry comes back to something we've had a common thread on and it really goes back to 2 episodes ago. Go give it a look on YouTube when we had Amy and Sean Jones on of why are they not using said NXT talent, right? Mm-hmm. Well, here's Mark Henry. I give you Keith Lee. Mm-hmm. And I give you, okay, maybe he doesn't have the credentials of the Olympics, but his moveset, and he's like a human teddy bear for girls that want to just love on him and like love the jovial nature, smiling, bask in his glory, that type of thing. And then you get into the way that they allow him to perform from a standpoint of, will it change on the main roster? Probably. But in NXT, he's doing the stuff that, okay, maybe a little bit smaller than Mark Henry. But when he's going over the top rope with those flips and he's doing these moves, as you mentioned, TJ, that we can believe Mark Henry could perform. See, that's exactly what a guy, when that bask in the glory chants really pick up, that somebody like Keith Lee has in spades. And it's like he's weighing, it's like he's holding his cards close to his chest when I see this.
I think another interesting way to look at it is look at when Mark Henry kind of got his start was in the Attitude Era. So you could even argue that maybe he was kind of pigeonholed to be a mid-carder during that time because you didn't really see Mark Henry versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Another way to look at it, too, is with being the world's strongest man, as much as that was excellent marketing and a true fact, in some ways you can build Mark Henry as the attraction. So maybe they look at, we can have the world's strongest man on a card. We don't need him to have the title also. So in some ways, maybe that in and of itself, because I do remember, and I started watching wrestling in 2008. So by that point, Mark Henry was the WWE ECW champion. But I remember going back even a couple years prior, and he had that great program with The Undertaker, where he attacked him after the steel cage loss to Batista and then had the match at Unforgiven. So you would occasionally see Mark Henry in big time programs, but it was almost more like he just was never given the title because they didn't think he needed it, and he was maybe more there to be the monstrous heel for the babyface to defeat. Or, I mean, that's just my perspective.
I love that. I was gonna say just to the group, does it seem like Henry is really extra taking care of Orton here?
Oh, he is.
Yes.
Like extra, like it almost feels like a wave or a vibration off of Mr. Kennedy.
Well, yeah, that was what, 2 years prior.
Yes, that's a good point.
One thing I noticed too, I obviously here in this time in 2011, I didn't know Mark Henry nearly. Oh, I didn't know much about Mark Henry as I do now, and now I've learned how emotional of a guy he is and everything else. I don't know if any of you guys noticed this, but when he came out and he was saying in the ring and he pointed to the World Heavyweight title and then turned around, he was already almost in tears.
That's awesome.
Because he
I
knew
didn't
what
see that, but that's neat.
He knew what was coming. He covered it up well. Like he's kind of stepped back into gimmick pretty quick, but I mean he was almost in tears already.
Yeah, they did the close up to his face when he pointed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and rewatch that. I hadn't seen that, but that's neat.
Adam, when you did a match, did you were you stressed heavily on like, okay, your time hits, your music hits, that's 0.1 second, 2 second, 3, tell a story to the ring type of thing.
Well, I was so pumped up because I mainly I was always a good guy, a little skinny kid, not a big time heel. So, and we didn't do big crowds, but I remember just being so pumped up. I mean, I loved wrestling. I wish I could still do it too. I actually ran across one of my pictures. I put in the group chat yesterday of how, I can't believe how long ago it was, but it's just I can't even explain it. Just waiting to get into the ring, and they never give us time limits because nothing was ever filmed and nothing was ever on. It's just if anything that was filmed, it was just from a person. There wasn't nothing to be on TV or nothing like that. So we never had a time limit. They just said, hey, man, just go out here. You win, you lose. Just enjoy it. And I don't even remember being nervous at all. I just remember being so excited because I loved it so much.
I never knew you wrestled, Adam. I think that's neat.
Yeah, let's see here.
Yeah, I think he stopped wrestling because people were making fun of the fact that he had a very small package.
That had nothing to do with it, thank you.
Wow. Is it in the
Adam, I love you too, brother.
It added to the underdog persona.
Is it in the
that's
power,
cool.
Power Positivity? Is that where you would have posted it? Nope.
Frank and Carl probably know the story. I don't think I ever told to Bama and Michael. So when I was 18 in 2003, I'd already been lifting weights for 5 years at the time. So at 162 pounds, I was benching 305. I was squatting like 550. I was power cleaning like 240. I was absurdly strong for my size.
Damn.
So I had a wrestling school picked out. I'd already picked Mr. Hughes out of Atlanta. I was going to go to his wrestling school. I already had a job and everything picked out. And then I joined the military in 2004.
Dude, I didn't know that. I don't remember you telling me that.
Look at that shirt, man. How can you get mad at that shirt?
That's a very good question.
Oh wait, what is there someone trying to grab your package in that?
No, I was high-fiving because I was a good guy.
Well, yeah, but someone's hand is like right there.
Right at your junk level.
Well, yeah, but they had to be a good aim to do that.
Were you always a face, or did you ever do the
Yeah, for some reason. I won the tag titles twice. And actually wrestled the same place Arn Anderson did. When he first started, he talks about a place called Boaz, Alabama. That's actually where that was in Boaz.
That is so neat.
What was the name of the promotion, Adam?
Oh, God. It was ACF or something like that. I can't even remember the name of it because we didn't wrestle up there too much.
I'd be so staunch on being a heel. I'd be like, you have to put me as a heel.
Well, me and my cousin actually did heal a couple of times. We actually had to get escorted out of Boaz because
Well, that's neat.
the promoter actually told us, "Hey, look, there's these people in the front row and they take it real." Like how they talk about the old ladies, say how they really.
There's
take it
always
serious.
a handful up there. I saw them at a couple of shows up here in Warsaw, Indiana. There's always a handful of people that are like it's serious.
I have a good clip for you sent to me, not to interrupt, but I have a good clip, slow-mo. Dan Bynum sent me one of, there was this old guy that would sit kind of behind the announcers at WCCW, and his dentures used to fly out on a consistent basis. And he finally found one. He's like, "Oh, I found one of my old tapes." He's like, "Here, check it out." And it's like,
That's great.
and teeth coming out of his mouth. Yeah.
See, the promoter told us who they were, and me and my cousin, TJ, you was talking about a cousin of yours that was more like a brother. I had a cousin too. He was 4 months younger than me, but we were like brothers. We wrestled together. We did everything. So the promoter told us, "Hey, these are the people right here. Give them hell. Give them hell. Say whatever you want." So my cousin said, "Okay, I will." And so he got out there, and she was in a wheelchair, but she wasn't disabled. But she's a little bit older, so it was just harder for her to get around. And he flat out told her, "You ain't nothing wrong with you just being a lazy old lady." It was bad. And their family was outside waiting on us to come out. We had to get escorted back home out of Boaz. It was great.
Wow.
I mean, they take it serious around here.
He talked about guys getting stabbed in the armpit, and I mean that's the 80s. I mean, that's the fact that that's happening current day. I want to say is awful, but I kind of think is awesome at the same time.
Seeing the problem, Carl, I'm right there with you. Like, to me, I mean, I hate to say it, that's like good heat. Like,
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, because her family was so pissed. There was 4 or 5 of them waiting on us at the back door because they knew where everybody walked in and walked out that actually worked there. So they were out there at the door waiting on us to come out. We couldn't even go out of the building.
No, I'll tell you the truth.
Right.
I could never get in the ring due to physical limitation, but I'd love to be I always envision myself as like a manager. That's what I always thought, a manager, because I can run my mouth if I want to. So I always thought.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and Frank will get a kick out of this, but I've always thought that AEW doesn't need a general manager. What they need is a chief program authority, and that could be me.
There you go.
And think of that. And
I
Frank,
can totally see that.
Frank, did you figure out why I said it that way?
CPA.
Yep, that's a play on if I was a CPA. That's how I always.
I'm gonna be 36 next month, so I still like I understand the window for me to start wrestling is probably closed, but I still have thoughts on becoming a referee or even a manager. And I don't know. I'd probably have to go to Chicago to try to do that. But my wrestling door's not closed. Me physically wrestling, that's probably over with. But I might still stick my foot in the water before everything is said and done.
I would recommend you to freelance in Gurnee. I'll say this much: reffing and Bama, you can touch on this. Those guys have a lot of fun.
Yes, it is amazing. There's nothing like the crowd just either cheering for you or hollering at you. I mean, there's no other feeling like it.
But no, I was gonna say, what about reffing? Those guys seem like they have a lot of fun, right?
It depends if they get help or not. If they're out there all night, they start complaining. But
yeah.
I mean, if there's 2 or 3 out there, then yeah, they have a good time, especially because we always got them involved.
Right. And that TJ, I could see you being a really good like ref, only because like the attributes and the God gifts that you're just given at birth that you grow with. But that can parlay into something more. I think the refs involvement in getting time cues in I mean, like our promotion does deal with an IFB, but getting time cues. Oh, that IFB went out. Now it's got to be the color guys thing to start giving you time codes. And however, like I would hold like 5, sorry, bad example. Like 5, I wouldn't be looking at him, but I'd be like, you got 5 minutes. And I would hold it up there until like he looked back at me. So like little things like that you could pick up on. And I think Kyoto's being in the right spot at the right time for the cover, getting that jump over can still give you that athletic nature, but can also lead to dirty ref, double Hebner, things where you could be a manager as well. I just say that because you get so much knowledge right away as a ref.
Mm-hmm.
A freelance in Chicago would be your closest in. I would have missed the RKO there.
I think we're getting close to the finish.
There it was, right there.
Oh,
Just
there
saw
it
it.
is. Now,
Mark
who's the guy
Henry.
with the who's the guy with the silver mask in the background? What's the silver
I've
mask
been
about?
noticing that too.
What is that?
I don't know, some kind of Tom Cruise sick.
Wait, is that a Sin Cara mask? He was around then.
It's just totally silver. He's right back in the heart.
Is that Randy Orton's wife?
It could be Seven from WCW.
It's
I
not.
don't think that was his wife. I think that was just a fan.
I was so happy when he won this
I
match.
was too. I could not have been happier for Mark Henry when he won here.
Okay,
was-
the reaction in the arena, you would have thought he was a babyface. People were thrilled for him.
When he, see, he's trying to hold it back again here. When he did his last retirement run with Cena, I thought he should have won it again.
When he did the suit, when he
Yes.
did the
Yes.
goodbye, yeah, that was amazing.
What would it have hurt if he won it again? I mean, let's quickly book that for a second. You could give him a 1-month run, make it a triple threat at that SummerSlam, and Brian could still get it.
Because technically he was never called his game a thumbs up. All the announcers gave him a thumbs up. He was never WWE champion. He's World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, see, I still put a lot of stock in that. Like Universal title, I could give a shit about. When you hold the WWE Heavyweight Championship, that's the one that counts to me, right?
I agree.
Like,
Give it time.
what's that?
Give it time.
Oh,
Give it
God,
time.
Adam's sending me YouTube clips.
Well, no, I was sending that to Michael really because that's one of my matches
Oh.
on YouTube.
Are you?
Oh,
No,
thank you.
I would say give it time on the Universal. Let it.
Well, like Kevin
naturally-
Owens.
Had it, obviously.
I think
Brock
Kevin
had
Owens
it.
Kevin Owens should be the should be the WWE. Like the fact that, like, I still am in the belief as the champion of WWE should be on both shows.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't
agree.
like. I agree. I don't like the name. If anybody, I shouldn't be defending this because I mean I was there in person, and that was the first time, like me and my little brother looked at each other like he could not be more Finn Balor and I couldn't be more Rollins. And to know that your main event is over in like a minute and 30 seconds sucks. Because we saw it and it's like his arm's dangling. And we're like, well, that's over with. And then the previous one we had went to that year, same thing that happened. As soon as the Ambrose and Lesnar street fight was not what it lived up to at 32, we're like, oh boy, this could be a long night. But we're lucky to go to so many other things. I was just say something off of your, Frank, we were talking pre-show about how you've been to multiple tapings where storylines have advanced a week, a month, a certain amount of time. Only one I've been to was JEFF Global Force Wrestling's first ever taping at the Tropicana in Las Vegas. Bollywood Boys, I know, opened it up. Brian Cage was in there. Bad. Left the only wrestling event I've ever left voluntarily.
You left it?
Yeah. No, I've never left escorted by cops, but saying voluntarily left.
So, real quick, I just want to make a comment on Mark Henry's finisher. I think it could have been a little bit more devastating. Like, why didn't he should have got on like the second rope and done that. Like,
I think he did a couple times.
He did a
Okay.
few times.
okay.
Just,
He should have done the Dominator by Farouk.
Yes. Oh, that'd be
That would have been
great.
great.
Yeah.
I
The Dominator.
I can't remember why, but I had this conversation the other day of the longest run in between heavyweight title runs, no matter how you want to justify it.
Oh,
I know Kane was up there because he went from 97 to 2010. And then
Oh
the
yeah.
Miz, because the Miz is in the top 5 because he just went from 2009 to 2021.
number one's got to be Bob Backlund, right?
Was it 09 or 10?
Thank you.
Somebody posted on Discord. the other
Was
day.
it WrestleMania 27 in 2010?
No, 27 was
26.
2011.
26 was 2010.
Oh, so it was 2011 he had the belt.
Yes.
Miz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it that? Oh, okay. But Backlund was only a decade. 84 to 90 or 83 to 94.
Slaughter.
Slaughter only won it once.
It's like,
It's on Discord. Somebody posted it.
But anyway, so I have to think Mark Henry being in the company now 15 years before he gets his first world title run, that has to be the record.
I think
It
it
has
might
to
be.
It has to be.
Hogan.
What about him?
Was he the longest?
Well, he lost. His last reign was 2003. He got it in 2002. I mean, 1993 to 2002.
Yeah. But 15 years in the company with getting your first world title, and that's got to be a record.
Wait, do we have? Wait, what's the
It-
answer?
It can't even be close.
Who is it?
I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. It has to be. I can't even think of anyone that's close to that.
Okay, I found it on Discord. Somebody said Bob Backlund went 5,455 days in between championship reigns.
So he's
Okay.
number one. Oh,
Yep.
so yeah, was it 83 to 94?
That sounds about right. So that's close.
11 years. Yeah.
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 And Lesnar second with 3,988 days.
See, that's not
Okay.
true because Kane went. But again, Kane was WWE champion, then World Heavyweight Champion. He went from 97 to 2009, I think it was.
By far, this is by far one of the worst championship belts ever made.
It's
Oh, the
probably
Divas?
the worst.
Oh,
I am.
I thought the United States belt was the worst.
And I gotta be honest with you. There's a belt that I saw Piper wearing one time where it literally, I think it's a United States Championship belt, but it's literally got the United States on it.
Frank, you think the match or you think the belt's bad? Wait till the match starts.
Yeah, this is believe me, when you look at this era to what we have now.
Kelly, and
Beth Phoenix.
oh Lord.
See, and I love Beth.
I do too.
Beth
Yeah,
would be great now.
Yes.
Beth was here 10 years too soon.
Yeah.
She really was.
Wake me up when it's over.
Who's that with her?
It's
N-
Italian.
Natty,
That's
it's Italian.
Really?
Roll Tide.
And also,
Uh,
Beth is a smoke show.
I love her. I was front row. I had a front row seat to a Kingston, Rhode Island house show. It was the first time they had ever been at the Ryan Center, which is in URI.
That was Sean
And-
Kingston.
And she literally, when she came out, I looked at her and said, "You're so beautiful, baby." And she like raised her hand to me like she was gonna smack me. And I'm like, "Oh,
I'm
gonna
sorry.
go." No, I wasn't sorry. I was just like, that's
I had to go to the
spank bank
bathroom.
material. Spank bank material.
Question: do you think
Alrighty.
I need to say Beth is rated R?
She is now, isn't she?
That's what I mean.
Oh
Touche.
shit.
Touche salesman.
Or she's on the cutting edge.
Oh,
So wait,
it's cutting
we
edge.
all right, Michael, you're playing.
Where in the world is Henry right now? Map it.
So honestly, we go back to that conversation of how, what people do in their personal lives. Look at Edge. Look at everything Edge did. He cheated on 2 people, didn't he? And everyone reveres him. So, I mean, it's, whatever. It's
To me, a person's personal life is just that. It's their personal life unless they do something. Unless they do something illegal.
Right. Like,
Oh, there were topics I wanted to get to on this show, and we've got completely sidetracked the entire time. So, the big news this week, as we're recording this, is February 27th. And I really want to talk about this because this is bothering me a lot. AEW signed Big Show.
Yeah.
For commentating, I've heard. So Tony Schiavone is going to have to go like a king's throne to be above Big Show.
Yeah.
His chair was always taller, wasn't it? It was always taller.
Yeah. And then I'm just gonna do a quick.
Oh, my.
That way we can just do it all at once. Big Show's going to AEW. We just watched Elimination Chamber, which was decent for the most part. I'm not gonna say it was awesome, but it was pretty good. The Japanese American women's tournament AEW has been booked horribly. And then what was the other thing? I'm not even gonna get on Omega and Moxley, the exploding barbed wire death match bullshit. But what was
it is bullshit?
I am gonna give a 30-second answer. Why?
If you do this, we're gonna have what's gonna happen. But the other one was the debacle that's been Cody and Shaq. So let's start with Big Show first.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a good signing for AEW? Yes. Do I think it's a good signing for all of the fans of AEW are telling me why it's a good signing? No. It's a good signing for AEW in the fact that Big Show is a veteran. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer, without question. And also, maybe he can show Wardlow and other guys how to be an attraction. Because right now, no one knows how to do that. And I mean that in like an Andre the Giant sense. I'm not saying that anyone could be Andre. But don't wrestle every week. Don't do your move every week. Make it more impactful, Lance Archer. So I'm going to throw it to you guys. What's your opinion on AEW? And also, I will also remind you guys, 2 years ago, Big Show was a guy who couldn't come out without getting booed out of the building no matter what he was doing. Now, all of a sudden, they love him. So what's your guys' opinion on Paul White, for the first time since 1999, is going to AEW?
Can
I
I
can
ask,
start
did real quick, I didn't even
Go
know
ahead.
he was available.
I didn't either.
I didn't either.
He
I-
didn't
I
go
just-
home until like the second week of February.
Yeah, I assumed he was on a Legends deal. I had no idea.
And that is where I would have some concern for everybody going into their take. TJ, you just said it. It's what all of us thought. Like if a gun was pressed to our head, we'd be like, "Oh, he's an ambassador. He's on a Legends deal." He's not. Wait. He's fair game. So who else is? So I'm not saying that I don't want to give away my good or bad signing. I just want people to realize TJ made just an awesome point right there.
Right.
My official take is I really don't give a shit.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Big Show has been off my radar for a very, very long time. I could give an absolute fuck what he does there. And just for a quick hot take, I'm really annoyed Sting is wrestling again, because I think if he could wrestle again, he should have done it in the WWE where there's more people seeing him. And he told us at the Hall of Fame the man was fucking retired. So if he's gonna come to AEW and wrestle, why the fuck couldn't he have done it in WWE and had a title run there? All right, I'm done.
I will say that I was gonna try so hard not to be a smartass this week, but the Land of Youth is gonna have a 62-year-old and a 67-year-old in the ring next week.
Is Sting 62?
He's 62.
Yeah, just turned 62.
Well, that even pisses me off even more. Come the fuck on, really? Get the fuck out of here.
Out of here.
Hell, throw Ric Flair in the ring again.
He
Jesus Christ.
debuted in Tennessee.
62? He's 62?
He debuted in Tennessee
I'm
in
looking this up.
1986.
I don't believe you. I'm looking.
All
this
right,
up.
look it up then.
Yeah, he's
Meanwhile, we'll
62.
get another
Right.
opinion.
Wait,
know, not
Ric
to
Flair,
say-
Ric Flair debuted in Rice Lake. We don't know the state, 1973.
A funny piggyback
He's
off of that.
61?
And this
fuck outta here.
this segment brought to you by Metamucil. If you ever need to loosen up your stool,
And the
because
AARP.
Frank is about to go EAM. Eat my ass.
I'm gonna. This is bullshit. This is bullshit.
And this is also brought to you by Isotoners. Isotoners, the comfiest glove you can wear when you say "fist yourself."
Wow, I'm really hot now. I thought he was only like 55.
Hey,
I
why
know
don't
that's
you-
still
hey,
old.
Hey,
but-
Frank, if you're not hot right now, do you want to watch some chair shots scrubbed out by the WWE?
Oh, motherfucker! Don't get me going on that shit. Hey, I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. When I get all my belts and I've stopped popping wood for Funko Pops, I'm going to go buy a VCR and buy all the tapes again because that's bullshit.
Would
that I
do you
can't
want some of
watch-
mine?
You got the 1999 Royal Rumble, and I'm gonna fucking watch it on loop. I'm gonna watch all 11 fucking chair shots because that's how it fucking aired.
Actually, hold on.
And then I'll get to my business plan. 11 chair shots first, then business plan.
Right.
Scrubchairshots.com.
Fucking stupid.
We
Frank,
got enough.
yeah.
We got enough people here to make a nice little conglomerate media of.
They already put up TV 14 or TVMA. The Attitude Era was exactly what it was.
What
It
I
was
tell
the
you, they're
Attitude
going-
fucking Era.
They're going
I should be able to
a
go back
tiered-
and watch it.
You will be once they go to the tiered system on Peacock.
Fine.
Well,
I'll
they-
pay it.
I
I'm dumb
got-
enough to pay it. I will.
Of course, we all will. Are you
Dude!
kidding me?
Motherfucker. I will
Oh
pay. I want
my
that right now.
God. Well,
Wait a minute.
TJ,
Wasn't this week supposed to be the waxing thing?
Was updates on that also, so we'll come
Oh,
back to that.
okay.
Don't let me forget.
All right.
So TJ, I just brought this up. The whole NBC Disney
Mm-hmm.
5-year deal, something you had mentioned in the pre-show, I just brought up because I'll give just my theory in that on Peacock we will get a TVMA, a version where we can pay $19.99 for no commercials, but everything unscrubbed, everything that we wanted. And Frank and I already were like, yeah, we're paying for that one.
Of course.
So do you think that's where it's going, or do you think this is a bigger part of a sale?
All right.
Or both? It could be both. It could be both.
I do think so. And if you're asking me, do I think the product is going to become Attitude Era again? No, I don't. I think those days are done. I think those days need to be done.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree
they-
with you there.
I think they could still do it and not be just that absurdly graphic about it. But do I think it could go up a level, and do I think it could benefit from maybe going a little more edgy? Sure. And it looks like this is going to let it get that platform to do it. Do I think it's going to lead to a sale? Not immediately, but I do think they're dipping their toe in the water.
Okay, let me ask the group this. Why sell if you are going to do hypothetical, you have a tier that's TVMA where it's got everything. Why even take the fans back to that when you could drive them from USA or whatever? Again, we've talked about this. There hasn't been enough promotion that WWE is going to Peacock other than word of mouth and people like us, honestly, talking about it, because we have not had it jammed down our throats like Fox on SmackDown on Fox. So I say this much: you wouldn't want to, my inclination is that you would not want to have the fans experience a Raw Underground or anything like that, and say, if you want the real stuff that you remember, head on over to Peacock,
Right.
1999, and you get whatever the hell you want.
I want the original music too. That still pisses me off.
See, that too could be on there.
I don't know. Can they get away with the OG music? Like for WCW, Turner, or well, not Turner, but whoever now owns Turner.
It smells like Teen Spirit might be tough.
That's the one I always go to is Jericho's and DDP's. Pisses me off.
Because Ravens was Pearl Jam.
Yeah, that one's the same.
Even flow.
And people forget this also. Jeff Jarrett's, when he came back, was I'm a Cowboy by Kid Rock. Just with no words.
Chosen one.
Yeah, dumb.
I think you guys have raised some excellent points on the Disney potential and the Peacock potential. I think the idea of the different tiers makes a lot of sense because I'll be honest, I'm someone who wants to experience the original content, so I would be willing to pay the extra. But I think the thing, and this is a conversation that we can bring TJ into, because this is something that Frank, Carl, and I talked about on my chat pack, and it kind of ties into all of this with WWE essentially going from producing live events to shifting the business model to focus more on deals like Peacock and being a content distributor. Do you think, and this is probably more directed at Adam and TJ, because I know Carl and Frank, I've already gotten your feedback. Do you think the WWE relies too much now on promoting its archival content and promoting that versus developing new content with more involved storylines to try to get people to, like, let's say in the old days, if you wanted to watch a pay-per-view, you knew every month you were going to shell out $60. Now it's free on the network, or it's the $9.99. So do you think that has caused some almost complacency in the storytelling?
Yes.
100%. 100%.
Yes. And the answer is simple. Just look at the network. Yep. They have gone to a very much quantity over quality aspect. They're just shoving shows at you with a bulldozer every chance they get.
Yep.
Now, as far as the current product of storylines goes, I don't know how many subscribers they have. I have no idea. I'm going to guess it's a lot. And versus how many people actually watch Raw and SmackDown. Because I'm sure, and I know all five of us are in the boat, and I'm sure we're not the only ones in the boat. I'm sure there's a lot of us. I would have rather watch Raw and Nitro than watch what's going on now. By a lot. Like, it's not even a hard decision.
Yep.
And go ahead.
So what if they're preconditioning us? I'm not trying to be conspiracy, Carl. I'm just trying to say this much. What if they are preconditioning us to go back to the nostalgic moments, to go back to those pay-per-views that made us feel all warm and fuzzy, wherever they may be? For a large majority of their audience, they're looking at 30, 29, 28, 27 to 47, right? Mm-hmm. So that's in that same range group of growing up with the warm and fuzzies, vocational gimmicks, early 90s steroid trial, Hulkamaniacs, that type of thing. So what if that they're pushing out nostalgic content so heavily so that when it does drop on Peacock, if it does, that then it's like, oh shit, the taboo. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can get back into that. Maybe they're watering us down by bringing us back up. I guess is what I'm saying.
Who are they featuring right now on the network? Undertaker, Steve Austin. Foley's on there a ton also. They're showing us the stars from those days.
Yep.
Remember 1998.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Now, but again, how do you weave yourself into what they are now? Because listen, they have the stars to do it.
Yep.
Right now, they do. But how do you weave yourself from the nonsense you've been doing into the other side of the bridge without actually crossing the bridge? You essentially just have to transport over to the other side because it's the change is going to be that fast.
So isn't Triple H the best guy for it? We get back to the sale, and if you want to get into this, Triple H took a fledgling FCW and changed it into NXT. While goofy as a game shows, it might have been at one point. It's revolutionized what we are watching and how we are watching.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
And so that bridge that I trust the most in, I don't care about the on top wins and clean in the middle and
Right.
Booker T at 19 and the slow whatever, or the slow pin, whatever. He's proven that he can build a bridge. Another bridge he built and one he didn't burn was Bruno. Sorry, with the dogs. Sorry, but Bruno Sammartino, a guy that would not come back for Vince, but came back for Hunter, came back for Paul. So you need a bridge builder. You bridge one, you build one bridge, you're a bridge builder. You suck one, and you're how the saying goes.
To follow up on that, I think you're right with Triple H being a bridge builder. I believe Brock Lesnar was actually who Brock Lesnar went to Triple H for the original negotiations when he came back in 2012. I think Vince was involved, but I remember hearing that Triple H was like the main liaison. Now, following up on the sale, a new question that popped into my head that I'd like to get your guys' opinion on is, let's say 10, 15 years from now, they do sell to Disney. They'll almost become, in some ways, like Eric Bischoff says with WCW, a line on a balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
They might be less.
That's really true.
It's different now, though. This would be a completely different situation because WWE is now a publicly traded company. You can't just sweep them under the rug like you could WCW.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. But I guess my question is, with the potential acquisition by Disney, do you ever see Disney itself looking at WWE as less important than some of its other properties? I know we had talked about Triple H would probably remain like a corporate executive and be the man in charge of the WWE division, but do you think that Disney may at some point decide that they want to discontinue that operation and then maybe sell it out to someone else?
I mean,
Disney's never really been one to do that. And also, you and Frank would know this, of course, better than we would, but just from reading the Nitro book, like when an acquisition happens, you receive quarterly earnings statements, asset reports, all those things. So if a sale actually happened, they would know how profitable WWE is.
Yep.
So just to buy them and then essentially not utilize the profit potential of the company would be one of the dumbest moves ever. Could they do it? Sure. But here's the thing. If they actually did it, imagine you go to, Universal Studios and there's a WWE attraction there where they have home house shows. They have meet and greets with the wrestlers. They have all these different things you could do. Merchandise. Like, they could make money hand over fist just from a park come and see perspective, not even including the television entity and then the network you have, the archival footage you have. So I to buy the and just not use them to their full profit potential would be insane. I don't know why you would do that.
I completely agree with you. That was just kind of something I wanted to explore, is because I guess the concern I have is it comes down to this one phrase. I don't care who you put in charge of it at Disney or somewhere else. Do you guys really think anyone out there has the same drive that Vince McMahon has had over the past 30 some years? And I know we say now that he's out of touch, which I'm the first to admit he he might be, but you can't deny over the past 30 years what he's done, and he has lived and breathed for that company. So do you have any hesitation there that maybe even if they can be profitable, do you think it will still be producing the same quality of a product, or do you think the goal of the product might change where, like, I like your idea talking about a theme park. Would the idea maybe now be, instead of focusing so much on our television content, would we maybe be trying to drive people to come down to Orlando to see the product in person?
Well, this would be an interesting concept we haven't seen in 30 years, or now into that far, 20 years or so. They'd be pushing live events again.
That would be interesting.
And I think that's part of the problem now, is we're not doing that anymore. Everything's a television property. But if with the Vince part of the question, if you put Triple H in charge of, let's just say, wrestler workforce, but for lack of a better phrasing, I don't know how else to say it, to run the show, you have Stephanie McMahon, this is going to piss some people off, still be the head of creative, because she can do that whether people like it or not.
I agree.
And then also, when this deal happens and the network goes to Peacock, one thing people haven't considered at all, Shane McMahon has a history in this.
Yep.
He's done it. So if you put him in charge of, say, logistics or something like that, while still maintaining his on-screen personality, I mean, that's 3 very strong initial positions filled. So now you're just filtering down, putting your own people in places that need to be for that smooth transition and interaction between the two. Like, I don't think it would be as hard as some people think it would be.
I think a sale to Disney or any of that would be a lot more cumbersome when you're dealing with grief.
Yes.
Just saying.
And also, believe me, if WWE sells to Disney, there will be terms in an agreement. WWE is going to get to bring their people in.
Yes.
I still worry about that. I just don't trust them. And I wouldn't trust anybody. I don't know. I just don't trust anybody on that one.
And what side? Are you saying you don't trust Disney or WWE?
Anytime a person is gone, Vince in this case, and then you're giving the power over to an entity in which could be bought, sold, and then you're right back to WCW, AOL, Time Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Time Warner buying them first, AOL second, but putting it in somebody else's hands means Stephanie, Triple H, Shane, and I think we can agree. However we believe in Stephanie, I think she's proven that she's in this. I don't blame Shane for venturing off and trying VOD in China.
Right.
In fact, that's where the money was at the time. So if anything, his dad should applaud him. And Triple H has continued to pay his dues. So I just worry about, I don't trust them selling to Disney, because then Disney could be gobbled up by somebody else or merge with somebody else. And then, oh, well, WWE is not that important to us anymore, which seems crazy. Seems crazy that anybody would even say, oh, this can't be part of our portfolio, pal. Keep it in the family. See how it goes. Let those that are now in charge making the advancements see where things are in a decade. Give it a decade. Go from there. Would be
And Carl, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was kind of my initial point when I used the phrase line on a balance sheet. I wasn't so much thinking about when not only Disney acquired them, but it's like down the road, what happens if for some reason WWE itself becomes less important to Disney? And I think another thing to talk about, if you still want to discuss the sale, is from a branding perspective. Even though it's gotten much better with the transition from WWF to WWE in terms of WWE being viewed as more family-friendly entertainment, there is still somewhat of a negative connotation towards wrestling. So, and I know if you show people in a boardroom financial statements and all that stuff, and you say, "Oh, the company is this profitable," they're going to go for it. But do you think there could be some potential pushback from diehard Disney fans about Disney potentially taking WWE under their umbrella? And I just think that's something interesting to consider, because I have a few people I know just locally that are diehard Disney fans that you would literally have to probably tie them to a chair to get them to watch a professional wrestling match. And I understand that they've brought in properties like Star Wars and all that, but to me, those are all entertainment and entertainment only properties. You're starting to introduce the concept of sports entertainment, where again, like we've discussed a few times throughout the Zoom, there is a bit of more of a disconnect, or maybe a bit farther reach there. Do you guys understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, and your answer, I think, is going to come in about a year. What we're going to see over the next, from, let's just call it March until December 31st, 2021, is an arms race. We already have CBS Plus, or All Access is now Paramount Plus All Access. NBC has gone from Peacock. Streaming services are going to be either eaten up or eat up the major cable carriers, that being Cox, Dish, and DirecTV. NBC Universal, if you get Comcast, that's a part of NBC Universal. So what you have on your hands is an arms race. Over the next less than a year, we'll kind of know where things are at. ABC still has to get figured out. And will any of these groups pair with an Apple TV, a Netflix, a Hulu? Or will that be provided? So what you have right now is WWE, I think, taking a bolder step than most would realize, because they see it as WWE, just a bunch of wrestling. No, they took the first bold step by signing on with one of these streaming services to say, you know what, instead of having people go all the way to our app, pay people to run our app and do all this, let's just get $1 billion, give it to them for 5 years, and we can add what we want and do what we want with it and promote the hell out of pay-per-views. And guess what? It's going to be hitting, when we were talking about those NFL ads, when it's most needed, when they're 4 months in. Guess what? NBC Sunday Night Football, highest rated football game, unless it's like something nuts, they're going to have the ability to promote the hell out of it. So really, if you look at it, WWE took the first big step in staying ahead of the proverbial curve.
I completely agree. Can I introduce a counterpoint? Just something that we were discussing earlier that I think could be brought up. So we talk about Matt Riddle and controversies like his, the other wrestling controversies, Velveteen Dream, that will sometimes pop their head out of the sand, and or they'll rise up. I don't know how best to articulate that, but you have these controversies, and I'm not saying that Disney doesn't have those internally or with maybe what some of their actors might be doing, but do you think there might be any caution there where, again, your whole marketing pitch is you're geared towards family-friendly, wholesome entertainment? Do you think that they might worry about some of the negative publicity that some of the wrestling tabloids could potentially bring, not only to WWE, but if it's WWE with Disney, maybe some of that might spill over onto Disney?
I'm going to let others go first on this one.
I want to throw this out there real quick. Y'all talking about subscribers and whatnot. WWE Network has 1.5 million. That's all they got. Peacock has 33 million. Wow. Disney Plus 95 million.
I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. What has 33? HBO.
Peacock.
Okay. Well, that's going to change.
Disney Plus 95 million.
Whoa.
Because that's every Verizon subscriber.
And then Netflix is 203.6 million.
How about HBO Max?
I didn't look that one up.
So, while Bam was doing that, first of all, I think the transition would be hard if this was 2000. With the product they were having then. Now I don't think it's going to be too many people. Too many Disney fans are going to be upset that WWE's coming into town because they don't bleed anymore. They don't have the extreme stuff. They're not over sexualizing everything. Actually, now if anything, they actually have more people their kids can look up to as far as Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, so on and so forth. Also, what we're talking about now, Carl, adding yourself to a massive streaming service such as Netflix and HBO, I had not even considered. That would be a game changer if either one of them got on any of those.
I think Apple TV is a very quiet player. I mean, they may advertise phones, new tablets, gadgets. Watch when their Apple TV comes out and you're like, I can't get this on my Roku. And that forces you to get a Apple TV. And then it's like this whole, it's like they just corner you into, not trying to be like down or, say, yeah, I've got an Apple TV, an iPhone. No,
I have an
nothing
iPhone.
on
I'm
Mac.
recording on a Mac right now.
Yeah.
What about we go to Apple TV real quick? I subscribe to Apple TV, the $5 a month. Does
Right.
that mean do I have to get would I have to get a physical Apple TV first to like the one you brought to Jacksonville if it didn't go to Roku?
I would say Apple would maximize their profit in that way.
They've got 40 million subscribers themselves, and HBO Max has 41.5 million. So
How
Apple
about
TV
that?
has as many as HBO.
I mean, right there. Yeah, I think you see an arms race of you join us, we join you. But it's all how we. I think NBA and NBC saw one thing. We have this is going to be very far reaching, but you got to understand the parallels. We need something to show fans in seats. Why? Because we're on the hook for 2 Olympics. If we could show WrestleMania with fans in seats in clips, whether it was the morning show, in their nightly news, even if it's the last story. Hey, WrestleMania tonight had 45,000 people for a main event between Dick Sauce McGee and Johnny Sack. It doesn't matter who the guys are. It matters that they have people sitting in a stadium that they can show because they still have 2 Olympic contracts to fulfill in a 2-year span. So for them to have to look at this, they need to start getting live bodies in the audience. And I think the real internal strife is Vince making sure that in Tampa, he can get 20, 30, what do they have for the Super Bowl?
25,000, I think.
25,000. Then you get 25,000 in there. I think you have a much different talk between NBC and WWE.
People are itching to go though.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say this about, you got to realize, understanding the subscriber count now, WWE Network has 1.5 million, and they're going to put that. So first of all, Peacock just bought 1.5 million people, or 1.5 million subscriptions.
Theoretically, yeah.
But also from WWE side now, they've got 33 million people, 33 million subscriptions.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that
are going to put their eyes on WWE. So and going back to you and TJ, you were talking about all the content that WWE keeps pushing out. You got to remember who they're in competition with, and the Netflix and the. I mean, obviously Netflix.
I was not disparaging them. They absolutely should do that.
Yeah, I'm just I'm getting into my 2 cents. That's or my 2 cents is usually worth about half a penny. But
no. By the way, fantastic bridge by Del Rio for anybody that caught that.
No, this match has actually been fantastic.
Yes, it has. I missed John Cena. I never thought I'd say that.
I don't miss John Cena. I'm over John Cena, but by the way, Sting is 61 years old and Shawn Michaels is 55. Let's get Shawn Michaels back in the fucking ring, because he'd probably be better than fucking Sting.
Frank, we
Fucking-
saw that at Crown Jewel, and I don't want to see it again after that.
No.
Yeah, he looked horrible at Crown
Want to
Jewel.
see
That
a
was
bald
He had one
HBK.
bad match in 60 years. He had one bad match in how many of the matches he had?
Anyway, God,
Hey, this is WWE. Just dealing with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. What talents are you looking for? Okay, Yokozuna, Ultimate Warrior, Giant Gonzalez.
Coco Beware.
Yeah, Coco Beware, King Kong Bundy.
we can get Coco Beware.
Maybe.
Well, that's right. He still is. Yeah, he's still.
The other 4 of those are dead. They're very dead.
Well, according to Carl, so was Rockin' Robin, so you
That's
never
true.
know.
And
That's
Sam Houston's been dead. Ola, he's been Gonzola in my book.
The
I
Ultimate
thought he was
Warrior.
gone. Yo, Ultimate Warrior,
Yes, we gotta get
Bring
Ultimate
him.
Warrior.
bring him. That had to be some very uncomfortable talks. Okay, don't worry about Yokozuna. Just give us Andre the Giant. We'll be fine. Yeah, he's dead too.
He died before Yokozuna died.
Yeah, I feel like this is like the major league. Half these guys are dead. Cross them off the list then.
He wants Andre the Giant. But, oh no, we got a guy that looks like him. Wait a minute. He don't
So-
work here no more? What the hell?
Somebody get Ron Reese on the phone. Where's Ron Reese?
Wait,
Oh,
do you remember what they
Such
did?
a nice guy too. He is such a nice guy. I met him. He is awesome.
You remember what they did at Greatest Royal Rumble though with the Yokozuna? They got that, and I'm gonna butcher the name of it.
Babatunde.
Yeah, literally the Yokozuna look-alike.
Baba
He's
the
Bumblebee Tuna?
Baba
Yeah,
Tunde
Baba
Tunde.
is actually
Your-
in
your
NXT
balls are showing.
development.
Thank you, Frank. I think
No
you're the
way.
one that got the
The balls are showing.
Bumblebee Tuna.
Bumblebee Tuna.
What the I forgot what I was gonna say.
It's Ventura.
Oh, the and Peacock thing. So, and this is why. And Carlo and Frank, you guys have known me for. I mean, we're closing in on a year. Can you believe it'd be a year in June?
I know it's crazy.
And I've been stressing the same shit the entire time when we talk about ratings wars now with NXT and AEW. They don't matter. Key demos don't matter because television. I never thought I'd say this because radio is still up and running somehow. Television is a dying medium. Quickly, what matters now is streaming. That's where we are today. And the fact that WWE is now going to be on a subscription-based service, it's going to have or service with 33 million people, is huge. It's way bigger than AEW being on TNT by miles. And
yeah,
that's
very
why
true, yeah.
any more if I hear AEW won the key demo, who gives a fuck?
On a fucking Wednesday night against what's clearly the developmental brand for
So a
WWE.
bunch of guys
nobody-
my age want to buy pink antifreeze. What's your point?
Here's what we're missing. Here's really what we're missing on this one, and Eric brought this up, is that this is for advertisers. This is for white-collared, lots of pomade Wall Street people. Okay, this is not for the general public or even those that hold stock.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say this much, is that the ratings war is so bogus on so many fronts that you've got a rating system which is super flawed to begin with. Second, you're not taking into account, AEW might have had more hits on a certain day because MJF had that lay down promo or that Eric surprise, State of the Union or debate between Orange Cassidy and Jericho. They got a lot of YouTube hits from that. See, those hits factor into money. So when we really break down, if somebody comes to me and says, this is what they did viewership wise, this is what the 5-day YouTube count is. Here was the most popular clip. Here was the topic that was discussed most online between Reddit forums, WrestleZone, Pro Wrestling Sheet, whatever it may be, PWI, not trying to endorse anybody, but this was what it was, then I can have an answer. Then I can say, okay, so that worked, that didn't. That seemed to resonate, that didn't. Give me all of the social media stats, give me the hashtags, and we'll have a better outlook on everything.
I'm gonna
I got a
play
quick
devil-
question. Go ahead, Michael.
Oh no, go ahead, Adam.
I just had a
Go.
quick question. Do you think Peacock was their first people that they reached out to, or do you think it was
No.
just? Who do you think they might have reached out to first? You think maybe Disney, Disney
ESPN.
Plus?
ESPN. Number one, ESPN. Because they've had because the whole Disney thing adds up there, and
They already have a relationship with him.
they
Yeah.
already had, right. They have the relationship of doing the morning show, oh, Brock Lesnar taking on so-and-so at, so-and-so. I will have to track CM Punk's intro. But no, they went to ESPN. ESPN said no. And so what that tells me is that they went to NBC. They said yes. And ESPN said, if you go to them, we're pulling all that interview stuff. We're pulling it. We're not doing any more hype promo. We have no relationship with you guys. And sure enough,
I forgot Kevin Nash was in this.
God,
So at the end of 2020, ESPN Plus actually have 12 million subscribers.
I'm surprised it's that many.
well, the plus you get a lot of random sports too, like cricket and rugby and like.
Yeah, I don't
weird
care
ass-
about any of that shit. So
But
I-
you get every 30 for 30 with ESPN Plus.
that's a reason to subscribe, to the point where I think I'm going to today because I'm not.
Oh, Frank, it's the best one to have. Like out of any of them, I take my eyes, but not my ESPN Plus.
One of my favorite lines from this entire sequence for watching it between Triple H and CM Punk. Again, I forgot Nash was involved, and then Nash, I think, was in the ring and Punk was on the stage, and they're doing a promo, and Punk said his sister texted him and said, "Kevin Nash is alive. LOL. I thought he was dead."
I remember that. He was sitting Indian style or something on the ring.
No, TJ, the angle just died when he got involved.
Yeah, it did.
So the angle died, not Kevin Nash. Okay.
But I guess to play devil's advocate here for a second, because I want to go back to something Eric Bischoff says. So WWE Network goes on Peacock and they get an additional 30 million potential subscribers. They might eyeball it, but you really need to have something there that's attractive to convert more people. And I think the thing is, not only do you need to convert the people, but the people like that want to watch Attitude Era are people like those of us on this call that are already fans and have already seen it and want to go back and relive it. Or in my case, I wasn't allowed to watch it back then because I was so young, but when I got into wrestling, I could watch it. So that's where you kind of need to rely on the current product and what they're having on TV to make people want to invest and do what I did back in 2008, which was go on a deep dive and learn everything I could about WWE. And to me, the current product's just not doing it. So even though you have that potential to get those subscribers, I still think there needs to be an overhaul or a transition in the current product to not only bring more people, but keep them there and to get them to make the investment that we all made at some point in our lives. And I think going on to something else you wanted to discuss, TJ, that kind of ties into this is the current storyline issue isn't just an issue with WWE, it's also with AEW. We were talking a little bit about the booking of the women's tournament, and I brought up the comment that to me, AEW is your prime example of a millennial wrestling organization in that they go after the instant gratification, and even WWE is kind of
They're getting
guilty
there.
of doing that in some ways.
And again, that's not an insult for anyone who watches AEW. It's just a fact. And all you have to do is be objective Again, I'm not trying to be derogatory, but by the way, if you hear things hitting on my microphone, my son Jack's playing with beans right next to me.
Do you
But-
want me to pause my mic or track it for the CM Punk Open?
Track it.
Thank you.
But
Track it.
just the AEW women's tournament's been it's been focused on, and then it's been an afterthought within 2 weeks of each other. We have Serena Deeb and Riho on in the first round, which is crazy. And are we going to lay out? Let's lay out for this for a couple seconds, because I have much more to say. Let's track it.
Can't hear it. I mean, I can hear it on mine because I put the volume on low. But tell me, can you guys hear this? Can you hear that?
I can hear it on my end. Hey, everyone at home watching this, just turn your volume up.
Those ice cream bars. I would love to have an ice cream bar right now.
I'd love to have CM Punk back in WWE right now.
I would too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I mean, I really hate that we have to bring up Cornette every week, but we do. He has said on several occasions that if he was AEW, and you're funded by the Khan family, how much money's enough? Get CM Punk on the roster.
Well, we'd rather have Big Show or Paul White. We'd rather have Paul White.
Well, I mean, we can go down a list of that, but the tournaments, I don't know how to phrase it. It's odd how they've booked it so far. If you look at, and I know everyone's the same rallying cry. The Bucks weren't tag champions right away. Kenny Omega wasn't world champion right away. They were both almost a year to the day, both of them. And also, I could make the argument Omega or the Bucks have put no one over in the meantime, because if you remember, and mind you, I watched AEW the first 3 months and quit because I was all right. This is not what I thought it was going to be. And again, people like it. That's fine. It's just not for me. I'm just giving you my critiques of it. When the Young Bucks put over Private Party in the tag tournament.
Yeah, first round, yeah.
They really didn't put over Private Party.
They just gave him the win. That was it.
Yeah, they kicked out of their finish, which was gorgeous, by the way. And then even when they actually got the 3 count, they still kicked out. So they didn't put him over. They just gave him the win. Everyone, the big feud the last year, Young Bucks and FTR. What happened with that?
That was a good match. I'm
not saying about the match, but there's been no feud. The Bucks won, and now FTR is delegated to nonsense duty. They're getting ready.
I think they hotshotted the feud, in my own opinion.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I need a perspective on. I got to see the Bucks in 2016 this is right around the time that the Meltzer driver's getting hot. Battle of Los Angeles is selling out, something that they started. Keep in mind, see, this is where the Hardy Boys and I really feel like the Bucks get 2 spots of lore. Here are 2 good guys that have never gotten in trouble with the law, who started their own thing, just like the Hardys did. Making PWG, making Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, yes, with some other people invested in it. But Bola, Battle of Los Angeles, would be sold out. They got themselves to Japan. They got themselves to ROH. Maybe they didn't give the most stiff, great handshake to Booker T, whatever the lore you want to believe in. Thing is, they parlayed whatever they did into something that is competition. So when I say I am open now, TJ, this is why I appreciate your criticism of. Let's drop something. I appreciate your criticism of, not criticism, but your insight into the matches, because I see them with blinders. I see them as only as, here are these entrepreneurs that came from nothing, started something, and now their ability to get over, to even have the platform to get over, or even be in wrestling, pro wrestling narrative on major cable or on it to me is a much longer journey, but I understand the overselling, the goofiness, and sometimes breaking the fourth wall too many times. See, I can distinguish between those two. The thing that I look at is they weren't given a silver spoon. And those that even were given one, if you listen to the Shane McMahon episode with Bruce Pritchard, he got a silver spoon. What did he do with it? He used it to become a cement mixer and, mortar guy for his parents' own house and quit on his dad. So even though you do get the silver spoon, I don't always think you do. Or those who really want to earn it.
Right. But
yes, I match. That's why I appreciate your match breakdown.
When I remember too, I watched a match on, oh boy, what's it called? Dynamite. And I want to say it was the Eric episode that he did this, the debate. That's why I was watching it. But I don't remember who they were facing because it doesn't matter. But I didn't even know which one it was. But Nick, is he the blonder one?
Yeah.
Okay, so he came in and did a comeback, and then looked in the camera and said, "Best comeback in the business."
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry. When was that?
I think it was the same. I think it was the same night Eric did the debate, because I don't know why else I would have watched it.
It was. I remember.
Yeah, it was the Chris Jericho Orange Cassidy debate.
All right. Well, that's quite frankly, that's stupid.
But and Omega's the same way, in the sense that Hangman Adam Page should be the star of that show.
Yes.
And
I agree.
Helping. And I'll get deeper into Omega in a minute, because I'm sure people are tired of me just blasting Omega. I'll say why in a second. But
I don't mind it.
Thank you. But somehow Hangman Adam Page is less over now than he was when he started. No one takes him seriously. He's a crying drunk on the show. Now apparently he's in Dark Order. So he's been helped zero by Omega. And I think my biggest issues with Omega and the Bucks, because the one thing I'll say, Cody hasn't made any stars either, but at least he's tried. They don't. And I think that's when you criticize AEW, and again, I get it. Like I was a WWF fanboy back in the day. I understand. Don't take this the wrong way. But when you criticize AEW, they come from all corners and just rip you apart. Is like, we criticize it because we want it to be good. If I didn't give a shit, I wouldn't talk about it. But also, their complete lack of ability to build stars or willingness to do so. Right now, I don't care what anybody says, despite what they were doing a year ago, they're fully riding on the back of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And unless you're an indie darling fan, or if you watch New Japan, you don't know who those three are. Not a critique. It's just the way it is. They've done nothing to build their stories. They're just like, oh, well, if you watch New Japan, you know who Kenny Omega is, but you don't have to explain it.
Kenta.
So nothing to build the stories, just show me what I want to see
Yes, that's exactly what it
and
is.
quickly tell me it.
Yep.
Michael, that gets back to you. That's why I
Yes.
wanted to. Okay. I took my brother to Survivor Series, SummerSlam 2010. I take that back. That was Survivor Series 2010 in LA. That was the Nexus, John Cena, Daniel Bryan, Bret Hart, Miz.
Mm.
Yep.
I've taken him to every single type of pay-per-view that exists today. He became ingrained with NXT. NXT became more important to him when we would go for a weekend to, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, any of those, because it was different and gritty and underground and almost had a Nirvana feel. Enter AEW. It's not a question. So with your age difference than mine, myself, TJ, Bama, how old are you?
36.
So you fall in this too. So there's a gap between 1981 and 1987 known as Gen Y. We're not Gen X, we're not millennials, but we grew up without phones, internet, and all of that, but eventually got it.
Wait, what's 1980?
Gen X.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. I'm
Yeah,
Gen
that'd be the last year of Gen X. So you're
What
like
would I
right.
be if I'm 95?
You're a
millennial.
millennial.
Oh, you're a millennial,
You're a
yeah.
hardcore millennial.
Yeah, you're right in the sweet
Because
spot.
what I say this with is that my little brother is 96 and he is the quintessential millennial. If there's a quintessential stud muffin, I mean, he has Cyberpunk, rented before he is. I love him for it. I learned from it. But as soon as AEW came out and he saw Darby Allin, he doesn't have one mask that he wears out that is non-Darby Allin or Rosa, related.
Thunder Rosa.
Yeah. Like, wears it proudly. So, and the Millennium dichotomy is that it still makes it must-watch TV for them, is what I would say.
Yes.
It's still, it makes it, and the one thing I do want to say on this Big Show thing, I didn't get to finish up with, is that anybody look at Jake Hager this past week and his match, how the WWE missed on that, I will never understand. Dude is huge, MMA. They could add such a crossover star.
But was he MMA when he was in WWE? No.
No. He was just
He
the
did-
All-American American.
Yeah, so I didn't fucking get it. I liked the we the people thing.
I did
But
too.
I didn't get it before.
Let
that. I
him
mean,
do
frankly,
Lesnar's schedule.
Well, the dude comes out to a song called "Get on Your Knees." What do you think that I'm thinking? I mean,
It's a
come
fair
on,
point.
no, like,
But I'm just saying,
I didn't get it.
Let him work Brock's schedule. Get a couple of wins, come back.
And also, I mean, with Swagger, I mean, he won the world title twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not they just sat on him. They did try with him. He just flopped for a reason.
So
Wasn't
Carl,
around-
So big.
I thought him and Dutch Mantel was terrible.
Bad.
They should have put
Well,
him with someone else.
Oh, Dutch Mantel is a good mouthpiece.
I'm not saying that because of Dutch Mantel. They just didn't. The grouping wasn't good.
The people thing was over though.
Yes, it was, but it wasn't because of Dutch Mantel. It was just because him and Cesaro got it over.
Well,
Then
fine then.
Dick. And then the same thing with the one thing I always hear about when I say AEW's made no stars, and then we'll go back to Carl's point, and I want to say this before I forget, is they always say Darby Allin. AEW didn't make Darby Allin. Darby Allin got himself over.
I agree.
What about Orange Cassidy?
What about him?
He got himself over.
Well, again,
in AEW.
Okay. Yes. You could say that.
Jericho.
What has he done since Jericho?
Oh, absolutely fucking nothing. No, honestly, but we know who Orange Cassidy is now because of AEW.
Okay.
And I'm not TJ.
And MJF,
I actually really truly agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying there are a few stars that AEW has made, and MJF is another one.
And MJF should be their champion and not lose it for a long time.
Talk about making stars. I think a good question you can ask with AEW that kind of ties all this in is, are they almost trying to do too much at one time? Because I'll tell you, some of the shows that I am really, really enjoying are what they're doing, What Happened When in 1986, Jim Crockett Promotions.
Yep.
And think how simple some of that booking and some of that formula was. And to go back to Carl's point, he talked about how his younger brother really got into AEW because it's geared towards millennials. That's kind of a target demographic. I think a good thing to remember about wrestling, and this is why it was so successful even years before I was born and definitely before I started watching, was wrestling used to be a program you could sit and watch with your entire family. And the goal of the program was for there to be something for everyone. So for me, I think they almost kind of need to get back to that. And I think that that's a few of the areas where AEW, in my opinion, might be falling short, as they're almost trying to do too much. And I think maybe if they simplified maybe their roster in certain ways, where not everybody needs to be on every show or needs to be a focal point of every show, develop your core group, and then have a singular storyline that kind of builds as a thread throughout the show, and just to have good continuity and not just having a match for the sake of having a good match. You know, you could build toward that good match. And to me, I think I don't really watch AEW Dark, but what I would almost like to see them try is maybe you do a concept where if you want to just have a series of matches, maybe turn Dark into like a weekly tournament show where it's a small tournament, and maybe put some stakes on it where the winner of AEW Dark actually receives a match on Dynamite, almost like how TNA used to do the gut check match. Yeah. And then that way you have some more continuity between the programs, and that's a way to highlight a star you want to highlight. I just think that in some ways certain things could be maybe simplified a little bit, and I didn't mean to ramble there. If I
no. AEW Dark is a 2 hours long, right?
Yeah, it's as long as Dynamite is now. Yeah.
But I gotta tell you this: there was one night where there were 17 matches on an AEW Dark.
That's 17
matches. Some of them were 3 minutes long. What the fuck's the point of that? Who are you getting over when you do that?
No one.
You're just trying to cram a bunch of people that are on your payroll onto a goddamn television show.
And adding more people to the payroll too. This is people you've never seen before.
And then here's another thing: with all the roster depth they have, I should never have to see Luther again.
Luther.
Thank you.
My God.
Or his partner.
And also, like, just on. By the way, they're gonna have another network show. Which my first thought was Thunder.
YouTube. It's YouTube.
No, they're having a network show out. They're adding both. They're gonna have a YouTube show and a network show.
What? Really?
Yeah. My first thought was it's gonna be called Fightful or something like that. But my first thought was Thunder immediately. Like, oh, we God damn, it only took me a year and a half to get to Thunder, huh? That's quick.
Poor Tony Schiavone.
Dude. But let's just look at the two dichotomies between the shows. All the talent that's on Dark that wrestles there very regular basis. Peter Avalon, a bunch of the women. I don't ever see them or hear about them on Dynamite ever.
Okay, and I'm gonna throw this out there. Do you remember last week? It was brought up by a couple of people on Top Guy Theater that their video by WWE was taken down social media wise. I believe it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, who was that?
I believe it was Sean Jones, and I think it
Yes,
was
it was.
Brandy as well.
Yep.
Okay. To tell you why this is a much more of a millennial based promotion. So when I tweeted out Jericho's intro, it still has
from the pay-per-view.
yeah, it's got 22,000 views.
And didn't Jericho retweet it? That's why, right?
Jericho is the first person to retweet it. What they're doing is they're showing, hey, you're coming to a social media friendly place, a place that includes the withstanding knowledge of inclusion. Nyla Rose, just saying, as an example, including those Sunny Kiss, which I didn't want to throw in there because I don't know if I think Sunny's a man.
He is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
I've said she a few times.
They do. JR says she.
He Sonny Kiss prefers either.
Yeah.
He's not specific.
Could he 6 inches taller play for the Bulls in the late 90s?
100%.
Sunny Kiss?
Yeah, Dennis
Yes.
Rodman, rebounding machine. Oh, and he kicks a cameraman in the groin. No, but I'm just saying that they're very the words that they use in between, because what you're getting is you're getting me to watch Shivani and JR. Plus, I'm listening to what I believe to be the future in Excalibur. Whether people like that or not, that's fine. I'm just telling you that his voice, enthusiasm, and knowledge of moves is a combination that's rare. So now I'm hooked into the announcers while my brother's hooked into Bucks, Omega, all that other stuff. I'm just glad that the PWI reports came out. Best promo of the year went to Eddie Kingston. Hands down, most deserving title.
And I by mentioning awards, I love that the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards got swept by AEW this year. Isn't that weird? But
What a coincidence.
Can we talk about the fact that the Miz is beating the shit?
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
I love that Scott Armstrong got a punch in, but I don't know what's going on other than that.
I
But
think that was chaotic. Tried watching it live, but you know what I was doing the whole time? I was just staring at the aisle looking for Kevin Nash to come down because I knew it was coming. I did. I'm like, he's gonna come down at some point.
come on, guys. So I lost my train of thought entirely.
Now the AEW swept the awards.
I know, but I had a point. And I can't
This
remember what it was.
is
Oh.
awful.
So here's the thing. AEW has an audience. And for that audience, that show's great. Has everything they want. Has high spots. And again, I'm not being degradatory. It's a fact. They have all the high spots. It's fast paced. They don't focus that much on promos because they don't do a ton. And things of that nature. But the stories for the most part are not long drawn out stories. They're very monthly, if not shorter. Now, the issue with that is you never really get fully invested in a character if you're just constantly moving pieces in and out. And also, I understand what they're trying to do with the non-clearly defined heels and faces roles. I understand what they're trying to do, except it's not working because now no one cares about anybody because they don't know who to cheer for or who to boo. And you need that. As ridiculous as that sounds, in wrestling, you need that.
I agree.
You just do. And so for their audience, the show's awesome, and I love that. That's good. Like I want you guys to watch it and be happy. I'm not trying to be disparaging, but to expand beyond that is where the trouble comes, because most people don't like Memphis Hot Shot every weekend. They want good, long, stories, slowly, carefully built stories, a la McMahon Austin, the turn of Hollywood Hogan in '96, things of that nature. Though, and there's a reason why Savage Hogan in 89-90. There's a reason why we remember those angles so fondly, because they were built so perfectly, so carefully, and then we got Mega Powers Explode. You know, we get Sarge turns in '91. We get, you know, the rise of Yokozuna, Bret Hart, so on. I could keep going. That's why all of us here fell in love with wrestling. It wasn't necessarily the people in it, it was the stories. Well, now I have no stories. So I don't have anyone I can fall in love with because they're not in the story. I need a reason to like or dislike someone. Like, why should I dislike this person? Well, they're wearing red this week. Like, oh, I don't. Why does that matter?
TJ, that
Oh,
raises
there he
that
is.
raises a-
You
There's
were
Kevin
right,
Nash.
Michael.
But that raises a great question. I'd kind of like to ask you guys, if you don't mind, just to get some feedback going off of the storytelling. What do you think was the last good long-term story arc that was in wrestling? Because to be honest with you, to me, I have to go back to John Cena versus The Rock in 2011, 2012 for a long-term story that had understandable stakes and that really got people invested. I mean, and that was the height of my fandom, so I might just immediately gravitate to that. But even with WWE, it seems like for the most part, they really are just building these match cards. And I think you can even see that in look what they did with the pay-per-views. I hate that they changed them to gimmick names. By changing it and naming it Hell in a Cell, you've pretty much kind of done some formulaic booking where, you know, okay, we already have our main events. We just kind of need players or cast members, for lack of a better term, to fit these slots for these particular matches. And if you think about when that started changing, that was really when the story slowly started to kind of die off. I mean, and that's just my opinion, but I kind of wanted to get your guys' feedback if you don't mind.
Carl, you muted. Still muted.
Still muted.
There you go.
Sorry about that. Michael, do you think I'm gonna answer that. Did Punk wear yellow and black hair thinking it would be a Pittsburgh? Well, it's in Buffalo.
Bruins
Should
colors,
I-
brother.
If I had to guess, the yellow and black probably just went with the Night of Champions theme.
Good call.
Oh.
Okay. I will let you get that answer from everybody.
The first one I thought of right off the top of my head was Owens and Zayn from NXT. And even Owens and Balor right after that. But Punk was probably the last guy I really cared about.
Yep.
The Punk, Cena, McMahon that culminated with Money in the Bank 2011, and he, walked off the title. That was probably my last favorite moment in wrestling. Was that one? I mean, Cena and Batista, that was pretty good the last time. The winner of Bryan, which was, him with the Wyatt family, and then it culminated with him in Evolution at WrestleMania was very good also.
I agree.
But I would say, and by the way, that wasn't intentional. The fans made that happen. If I just had to go, just two guys were involved. Give me some auxiliary pieces here and there to interchange. I mean, it has to be Austin McMahon, doesn't it? As ridiculous as that sounds, because it was 20 years ago.
You remind me what the question was again?
What's the last memorable storyline you can remember? Like the most recent one.
The one that I cared about the most.
Yes.
Was I was gonna say Punk, but then I remembered I was really into D. Bryan Daniel, and quite frankly, him coming back also. I'm a huge Bryan fan.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I completely agree. But if I can just interject to TJ's point, that wasn't a WWE created storyline.
It was Ring of Honor.
What
And the
was?
fans made that happen.
What was the Ring of Honor storyline? What?
Punk and Brian.
No,
it
I'm talking.
was because
I'm
Punk
talking
was the
about-
champion, wasn't he?
Oh no, he's talking about Triple H and when Daniel Bryan won the title at WrestleMania.
Right, the Yes movement. That I
Oh.
was like, what really swept me into the Yes movement was actually, again, I'm going to tell you, I was, you were talking about him and the Wyatt family.
Mhm.
You remember the night that he broke
Oh, yeah.
right, and he was on top of the cage going, yes, yes, yes. Remember that?
Mhm.
Yes.
Live from Providence, Rhode Island. So I was there.
Jesus.
You can actually see me in the crowd. I can point it out sometime if you're ever interested. That's when I loved Brian then, but like that moment swept me right into it. So that's really the last storyline I really.
I completely agree. So I guess
Totally
my
connected.
follow-up question with that, from what TJ said, though, if you think about it, that was a storyline that happened because the fans made it happen. Whereas, so WWE really hasn't created. So would you say in some ways WWE hasn't been able to create a storyline that got you to invest more than the ones that have kind of happened organically?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The next Night of Champions came on, and I forgot it was from Boston, and I think I was here.
Frank, bonus content. I will
Yeah.
have a little bit more on your answer
Okay.
when we're off air.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry.
Yeah. So you're going with Brian also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Me,
Adam?
Yeah.
I think Stone Cold McMahon because you can relate to that with the whole boss and
Mm-hmm.
that's
Very
probably one
true.
of my. That's probably me too.
Carl?
Punk. It blurred the lines between the ring ropes and reality. That's what we all seek to see. I think Stone Cold coming back and aligning himself with Tyson was one of the most beautiful written out crescendos of guys, don't worry about HBK, SCSA. Let's go this way. Didn't mean to rhyme that.
I was gonna say.
Worked out well, though.
and I would say I cannot agree with the Cena Rock one. I want to and I can't. Whatever. I'm going to hit the pause button. Wait to see how the Fiend and Orton end up, because we've seen Orton burn down, what was supposed to be the house that what's her face was in.
Oh yeah, Sister Abigail.
So I say pause and wait on that one to end, because it's not going to be now. It's not going to be in 5 years. That's going to be something that they can draw out with a healthy Orton, a guy that can still go 10 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
a Bray Wyatt. And I would say that would be the most interesting. Wow, that was a long-term story.
Yeah,
was.
I didn't even think of that one, honestly. But now that you're saying that, I could see that. I guess that one really is still ongoing.
And they brought so many elements in it, and it never felt forced.
I agree.
You know, so I would throw that out there.
I like it. It's been honestly, this has been probably the deepest episode of Tough Guy Theater ever.
So deep.
We got into way more conversations than I ever thought we would.
That's what I love. That's what I love about the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it you know, we're sitting here watching a wrestling show, and it just it takes all these you know, dips and dives and curves, and it's fucking amazing. And then, you know, it gives me the opportunity to put over the greatest city in the world, which is Providence, Rhode Island. I just want to say it one more time. I'm contractually obligated to mention it, I think 5 times.
He is.
That's
and
like Man's
con-
Warner. Every shows.
and I'm contractually obligated to mention Boston 3 times, because that is my I love that city too. So just, you know, throwing that out there.
I enjoy it, you know, like we were talking about earlier, how the camaraderie of the guys. You know, Frank knows what's been going on with me the past couple of days, and I didn't even tell any of my friends around here. I got on the group chat, started talking to my friends on the group chat before I told anybody here. So that just goes to show how close I've gotten with everybody.
Absolutely. Like there's been things, you know, I've there's actually things I've shared with you guys that I have not shared with anybody here and here at all, and it's because of the comfort level that I have with you guys, and then
I
trust
agree.
you. Like
Exactly.
I trust you guys wholeheartedly to
Yeah.
to not judge. You know, one of my major issues was with my friends here in Rhode Island is they'd be like, "Oh, friends don't judge. Friends don't judge." Then when I wasn't around, they'd all talk shit about me, and it's like I can't stand that. It's like, you know, if you have something to say it to my face. You don't have to, you know, sit around a table and talk shit about me. And that's what was going on.
Right.
And I just when they say they don't judge, they do, and that's why I always felt like I couldn't be. Like if I was in the group that I was in like 5 years ago, do you know how much shit they'd be? You're wasting your time, your money, on wrestling this and blah, blah. But it's who I am. It's what I enjoy. So you could eat my ass and fuck off and fist yourself.
You got all of those in.
Bingo,
Yeah,
bingo,
I'm
bingo,
contractually
bingo.
obligated. Yeah. So
Well,
sorry, I have been sharing probably too much with you guys.
He just got over all of his shit in that one sentence. Jesus.
But Frank, I totally agree with you, and I can just kind of say this. I've known you guys for a few months, and honestly, you guys probably see the most, outside of my family, you guys probably see the most genuine version of me. I mean, I'm a very genuine person by nature, but like I feel like around you guys I can just be myself. Whereas like when I'm say in like a work environment, I'm still myself, but I'm much more kind of reserved in what I do and what I say, just because the environment's very different.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm very appreciative of the ad-free shows for that, and I'm also very appreciative that you guys allowed me to come on here today. I really had a great time, and I hope this was what you guys were looking for, because I really enjoyed it.
I think we got what we're looking for and more.
Yeah, I'm so glad y'all reached out and let me come on tonight. I love being on here.
I did not think we were going to get in an hour-long conversation about TV contractual deals. That never crossed my mind. So glad to have you on as well. Thank you for coming. I don't know what we're doing next week. Oh, Carl brought this up and earlier and I forgot. I was supposed to get waxed this week for the AWA title. There is an update on that.
Oh, that's right.
So as of today, February 27th, I have just purchased the belt off my cold. So it's mine.
Not happening.
So because I didn't want to feel like I advertised something and then pulled it away.
I don't blame you.
WrestleMania weekend, there's a group of us getting together up here in Northern Indiana.
Okay.
It's going to happen then.
Mind invited.
Like a group waxing. That's awesome.
So it's going to
A group? What? No.
Yeah.
A group waxing.
So it's going to be any AFS members that are up here at the time.
Or what if you fly up there?
If you're here at the time, you'll get a pull.
I get a Yankola.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get in on this shit. I gotta get in.
Damn it, I'm too far.
Bruno, I'm gonna show you the shadiest sides of Hammond. I'm gonna take you to the worst streets of Gary.
We're gonna show you. We're gonna show you some stripper stab wounds, my friend.
So
So
can we
what
not
I-
do a
what
Zoom
I-
call when this is going on? Can we not broadcast this
Yeah,
on Zoom?
can we Zoom this get together for those of us that
Well,
are in busy
no,
season and
I think there needs to be a Top Guy My Chat Pack Live WrestleMania
Yes,
the day after.
for sure.
I think what needs to happen is you guys need to take me to Lucas Oil Stadium so I can take a massive
Don't-
heaping dump
That
on their
no.
lawn.
that is 2 hours from my house. I'm not driving
It's
you
way
that far.
dude. It's way far.
What are you nuts?
And it's a very nice stadium, Frank.
It is. It's an actually very nice facility.
I don't give a shit. The Indianapolis.
Well,
Colts are
apparently
there,
you do
so
because
they-
you want to shit
I'm
in
gonna
it.
take a big
I-
shit on it.
Frank,
mean,
just
I-
wait till WrestleMania goes there, and then you can go and do it then.
Oh God.
WrestleMania is
No,
never coming to Indiana ever again.
Never.
I
You don't
won't.
think with that nice stadium they might eventually get a WrestleMania?
They've had it for
Never.
a decade already. They're not coming. Indianapolis is not a luxurious destination town. Hey, honey, you want a vacation in Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Said
Go to
no one
Indiana in
ever.
March.
Yeah.
See, they should do one in Nashville. I'm telling you, that's
Why?
a destination.
No, it's
That's
not.
a destination.
That's not.
That's a huge destination town. That
Yeah,
actually
if-
is kinda
If you
cool.
wear cowboy boots and do redneck shit, yeah, Nashville's a huge
it-
destination town.
They're all right. That's
Wow.
I
Wow.
do redneck
fine. We're
shit without going to
trashing Nashville now. Tighten the fuck up. Wow.
Just to clarify, I love
Like I said,
country
Titan,
music,
like
so-
Tennessee Titans, yeah.
I like country music too. I just like shitting on Frank's dreams. Why are we having it in Chicago? Because it snows in April, you pussies. Just come up here anyway.
I am what I eat.
Why not have it in Birmingham? You could get robbed when you get here.
Because
Come
we
on.
can't have WrestleMania be at a rib shack.
Welcome to WrestleMania Rib Crib.
I'm actually surprised they've never tried to go to like Alabama's college football stadium or like the big house or like I can't believe they've never tried to go there.
You know what I love? It would be really cool if they went to the what is it called? The Horseshoe? Is that what it's called?
Ohio
Or-
State,
Yeah.
yeah, the horseshoe.
That place is like 100,000 people, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snow.
Oh yeah, shit.
Well, I didn't necessarily mean SummerSlam,
Yeah, SummerSlam. There you
and
go.
you could
But
you
you'd
could
have to
do a
have hell of
WrestleMania in Tuscaloosa.
Whew,
Hi.
I'm probably in the minority of this.
I got-
honestly.
I got yellow fever at the Horseshoe because of the mosquitoes.
Sorry, honey.
No
I'm-
thanks.
I'm probably in the minority of this, but I'd love to see WrestleMania for the next few years if we have, like, say, reduced crowds. I would rather see it go back into, like, Madison Square Garden, Staples
Thank
Center,
you.
Allstate Arena. I loved when it's in, like, the classic arenas. Like, I would almost
Yeah.
rather see an arena WrestleMania than a stadium WrestleMania. But then again,
Only-
that's just me.
We can only do that if we start at the LA Sports Coliseum.
I'm cool with that.
I think next year we're gonna have we're gonna have a full house. I think we're gonna start seeing full houses in September.
Dude, they could go anywhere. It's going to sell out.
Yeah, everyone wants to get back out again.
Yes.
Like I'm already making my plans to go to a game in Nashville. I'm making plans to go to with Anthony Pyers. I always do that.
Pyrus.
Iris. You gonna go
We
with him
gotta- we
screaming
gotta
go
get-
past
we
the
gotta
whole
get-
time?
We got to get him on here.
We do.
Oh,
So
I'll reach out to him.
our WrestleMania get together so far was myself, Mike Kolb, obviously, possibly Matt Levitt. And then I've heard some other names. For some reason, Mike and I are taking a bet Frank Bruno's going to show up.
I'm
And
in.
Yeah,
and then-
I,
There's also Dave from the QC. Apparently, I did not know he lived in Moline, Illinois, but he's also in the possibly the group. So it's gonna be way so. And also the way it's gonna work. I don't know why we're still talking about this on the air, but the way it's gonna work out, Mike's gonna have day one. I'll have day two. That way, it's not just burdensome on one house.
That's pretty cool.
That'll be fun. I'll be here with my tax returns if anybody wants to
Yes.
come in.
I'll be
I
here
just
with my
did mine.
ribs. I'll be here with the ribs. That'd be
There you
good.
go. Be the WrestleMania Rib Shack. I think it's a good place to end, gentlemen.
I think so.
I appreciate it, guys.
Perfect.
Michael, Adam, thank you.
Thank you guys so much. This
Anytime,
was a
man.
blast.
Anytime.
You're welcome. We'll love to have you back. See you next
Thank you.
week here on Top Guy Theater.